says that she's a Man U fan.
I am always a Man U fan.
Who told them even
just won a community shield? Relax.
It has nothing to do with the community shield.
Relax.
Did we win or not?
You won, but
no. Did we win or not?
Shield.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Victor, who told you I'm a Man U?
It's like winning a friend.
You are a Man U fan?
Me?
Yes.
Then I think you're having some amnesias, you know.
Oh, so you are denouncing your team?
I'm not a Man U.
Man U mnasikia venye leo mnakanwa on a very cold Monday morning. Okay.
Victor, are you proud of where we are at?
No, as an Arsenal fan, yes, I am. I don't know where Man U, I don't know. I'm not proud of where you are. I'm just... What about you? Are you ashamed of where you are?
Staff room. Staff room.
Straight away. Welcome to the program. My name is Victor. Although, as usual, this is how we start it. If you've not started your Monday on a high, then your week is going to be so boring. Remember, here is where we serve you some hot breakfast show. We have got politics. Today, I want us to look at politics in 360. Kenya Kwanza is celebrating 1 year since last year's general election. We went on to the ballot on 9th of August, so this week is going to be forming up part of discussion. The president is at the mountain. What's happening there? Is it political tour? Is it tour, or what is it all about? I also want to look at the talks about the talks. Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, cold and hot, what is happening? That will be forming our part of discussion. I have got a bench of members of parliament, Godfrey Ruku, member of parliament, Mary North. I have got Charles Ngusia, Mwingi West, member of parliament. I have Zulekha Harun, who is a nominated member of parliament. And finally, Justin Wamai, who is former presidential running mate, Roots Party, that is running mate to Professor Wajakoya. Stick around for that. But hey, Vivian, okay, just take it away. Arsenal. Vivian, let's go.
Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Kenya, where we begin your morning in style. Now, on the 12th of this month, we will be celebrating International Youth Day. And in line with that, I will be joined by run a community program, or rather a leadership youth program that attracts youths from Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda who are passionate about community service. You want to stick around for that. In the meantime, Ram, good morning.
Yes, good morning. And it is the 7th of August 2023. 25 years ago, something happened in the country. Just as a by the way, we need to remember some of these issues that took place in the country. We had the bomb blast took place 1998, where we had the U.S. embassy bombing, where more than 200 people were killed, and we have many survivors. We remember or commemorate that particular day, and I personally celebrate you, those who survived that particular bomb blast that took place at the U.S. embassy here in Nairobi. Well, moving on forward today, on my end, we have a lot in store for you. We shall be talking about matters concerning relationships. What is it that you look into when you're choosing a life partner? What do you consider? What is your checklist? Well, this morning, I shall be joined by Evans Kocho, who is a relationship counselor and pastor. I shall also be joined by Pastor Julius Kimani, who is a relationship counselor, together with Patricia Jekonaya, who is a program manager and policy and partnerships. We shall be having that particular conversation in a bit. What is it that you did? Are you married? How did you select your partner? Are you single? What are you doing? My name is Ram Maguko. Thank you for choosing KBC.
That is a good question. Are you married? Hey, okay. Sawa. All right. Marie,
Well,
before you go there,
yes.
there's some breaking news I hear.
Okay.
And please allow me to do this. Our colleague Joanne and Ben Kamote, happy birthday. Can you sing for this?
Happy birthday to them.
Happy birthday to them.
Happy birthday to you, Joanne. Happy birthday, dear Joanne and Ben Kamote.
Oh,
Happy birthday to you. Okay, let's start with Ben. Ben, how old are you now?
He's not answering.
No.
No, he's almost retiring. How old are you now?
Happy birthday, dear Joanne.
Kamote
And Ben.
and Ben.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
I didn't know that you guys can actually sing. This is impressive.
Why are you trying to abuse
Someone
our...
needs
No,
to
no, no,
sign
no,
us
no.
up.
We are
Yes.
trying.
Sisemi Mengi, but happy birthday to them. And, you know, without them, you don't see them here in front of the camera, but they're always, you know, our support system behind the scenes. So, hello and welcome to you all joining us here in Nairobi and across the country. I'm Marie Yambo, and of course, this is Good Morning Kenya. Well, in a few hours' time, we will be bringing you updates of the President's developmental tour of the Central Region and parties to the Finance Act to appear in court for mention of the case this morning. But first, the news this morning where President Ruto warns that accumulated debt threatens the stability of the nation. And later on in sports, reigning Women's World Cup champions, that is USA, are out of the World Cup. I will be bringing you details of that at the tail end of this bulletin in the sports news. So let's start first with the news that President William Ruto says his administration will not relent in its push to have all taxation measures in the Finance Act fully implemented. The head of state, who spoke during an interdenominational prayer service at the Sagana State Lodge, says Kenya is on the path of economic recovery, warning that accumulated debt threatens the stability of the nation. John Jacob Curia begins our news coverage this morning.
In his second day of his walking tour of Mount Kenya region, the head of state joined worshippers at the Sagana State Lodge for an interdenominational Thanksgiving service. Coming at the backdrop of criticism from the opposition, accusing him of imposing punitive taxes contained in the Finance Act, the president was clear that he would not relent in seeing that the proposals were fully implemented.
Mnajua mzee Kibaki, wakati alichukua usukani kama rais, tulikuwa tunakusanya bilioni 200 kama taifa. Akatuambia tulipe ushuru. Nyinyi mlisikia, nyinyi mnajua. Lipa kodi. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa lugha ya mzee Kibaki. Akatusukuma wakati alikuwa anaondoka baada ya miaka 10. Tumetoka 200 billion, tumefika 1 trillion.
The president warning that accumulated debt in the country continues to threaten the stability of the nation.
Kiri mimi nitakosea nisifuate hapo kwa mzee Kibaki mwenye alitufundisha nchi inajengwa na kodi. Nchi inajengwa na ushuru, haijengwi na madeni.
He says the country, through taxes proposed for collection in the Finance Act, have enabled Treasury to come up with a payment plan for debts falling due in June next year.
Unajua tuko na deni kubwa tulikopa inafaa kulipwa mwezi wa 6 mwaka ujao. Ya $2 billion huko mwezi wa 6 mwaka ujao. Sasa wakati tumeketi chini tumepanga na tumesema hii deni hatuwezi kungoja mpaka next year. Tumeanza sasa kuipangia vile tutalipa mapema.
And we were convinced by experience, reason and proven track record that William Ruto, the doctor, had a plan to transform the economic fortunes of our people. And that is why we made that decision.
Once more, the head of state sounded a warning shot to the opposition over anti-government protests, which he claims are backward.
Sio kufuata katiba ya Kenya na sio uzalendo wa aina yoyote kuharibu mali, kuendesha vita na kulete chuki kwa Wakenya.
Kenya is not a failed state. We have a president, a government, duly elected in broad daylight. And where there was doubt, the courts were tested.
There shall be no more violence, no more anarchy, no more bloodshed in the political engagements of our country. That we have made a commitment, Bishop, and I want to give you that word.
The president has since arrived on Saturday been engaging leaders in the Central Kenya region and government officials as he schedules the launch of development projects in the area beginning Monday. John Jacob Curia.
Thank you, Curia. Azimio leader Raila Odinga has reiterated that his coalition has no intention whatsoever of joining Kenya Kwanza government. Raila, however, took issue with the Kenya Kwanza administration for threatening the Azimio coalition amid the impending talks between the two sides of the divide. Timothy Kipnusu with more.
Speaking at St. Tiberius Ekerubo Catholic Church in Manga sub-county of Nyamira County during a church service, Azimio leader Raila Odinga said his political outfit was not hungry for handshake, as constituted by a section of Kenya Kwanza leaders.
Sisi tumesema tuko tayari kuongea. Mwiuliwa hapa sisi tumekuwa tunaongea juu ya mambo ya serikali ambayo inaweka Wakenya wote pamoja. Sisi hatujasema hata siku moja tunataka kuwa ndani ya serikali ya Ruto. Mambo tunataka handshake.
The opposition leader maintained they were ready to engage but vowed to pull out of the talks and prefer the next course of action if the intimidation persisted.
Watu wetu wako tayari kuvumilia ili mazungumzo yaendelee. Lakini ukileta fitina basi Wakenya wako tayari. Tuko tayari. Tuko tayari. Lakini hiyo ushuru unatozwa ili wafanye nini? Hiyo ushuru unatozwa ili kwanza wakufanyia maendeleo. Wajenge barabara. Wajenge shule.
Both the Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza coalitions have already established a 5-member team each to lead the talks. The bipartisan team is scheduled to convene this week to determine the modality that will govern the terms of engagement. The opposition leader recently paused the nationwide protest as he decided to give dialogue with the government another chance.
Kenyans will now have access to cheaper smartphones as the government provides free Wi-Fi in public spaces, including markets and bus terminus, in a bid to encourage traders to sell their wares through e-commerce sites. Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo, who was in Ukunda, Kwale County, to launch free Wi-Fi at the Diani Market, stated that the government has engaged smartphone companies with the aim of reducing the cost of the gadgets to as low as 5,000 shillings. And Buru with the details.
Public Wi-Fi officially launched.
In the second day of his tour in the coast region, Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary pitched tent in Diani Market, Kwale County. This market houses at least 250 traders. The traders will now enjoy access to free Wi-Fi courtesy of the government's free public Wi-Fi hotspot program.
Soko linafunguliwa at 5 a.m. in the morning na kufungwa kama saa moja hivyo. So we have humble time to market na to sell our fruits and our vegetables in this market.
It is at this event that the CS reiterated that the government was in talks with smartphone companies to launch cheaper smartphones for use by traders.
We have partnered with the private sector, specifically the telecom companies, to embark on assembly and eventually manufacture of local, cheap, smart, enabled telephones. That will go for an average of about 5,000 shillings.
Kwale County Governor Fatma Achani lauded the government for fulfilling its promise to Kenyans by focusing on small and medium enterprises and providing alternative markets through e-commerce sites.
Na Mheshimiwa Ruto anatimiza ile ahadi yake ya bottom up. Anasaidia yule mwananchi wa chini kwa sababu akituletea mtandao wa bure, ndugu zangu, yule ambaye hajiwezi anatumia mtandao wa bure kuendelezesha biashara yake.
The CS also noted that the government is keen on digital laboratories and urged the youth to take advantage of the program to secure online jobs. Sentiments echoed by Msambweni MP Faisal.
Tuko na mpango ya kushirikiana na wabunge wetu kuhakikisha kwamba katika kila ward, kila pembe ya nchi hii tutakuwa na digital laboratory. Vijana wetu watakuwa wakienda hapo kupata masomo ya kiteknolojia na vile vile wanapata kazi.
Nihimize sana vijana wetu, twendeni pale tupate mafunzo haya ya kompyuta.
The CS will on Monday launch the Jitume Digital Laboratory at Coast Polytechnic and later launch the Office of the Digital Protection Commissioner in Mombasa County.
Thank you, Anbur. Now, the family of a former long-distance lorry driver who was carjacked and thrown from the top of River Yala Bridge has appealed to well-wishers to come to his aid. Anthony Mwangi, who hails from Murang'a County, says he has not been able to get back on his feet after he was paralyzed following the incident. He narrated his ordeal to KBC Channel 1, as reported by Timothy Kipnusu.
Meet Anthony Mwangi from Mukuyu Estate of Murang'a Town, a former long-distance truck driver who was carjacked and thrown from top of River Yala Bridge. The incident injured his spinal cord, leaving him on a wheelchair for the last 13 years.
Wakatufuga mikono, wakatuelekeza mpaka Yala River. Yala River ndio sasa walikuwa wanaturusha kwa mto. Ndio hiyo mto ilikuwa na wanyama wengi. Sasa kwa bahati ya Mungu nilianguka kando ya River Yala.
Mwangi narrates his painful ordeal in the hands of his tormentors. He stopped when he found a Nissan Matatu blocking the road to Kisumu at 2 a.m. in the morning, and with a goodwill of offering help to the Matatu occupants, only to be mishandled by 4 gangsters.
Walikuwa wakora waine. Lori walienda nayo. Sasa kutoka hapo tukashukuliwa na polisi. Polisi ndio walikuja wakatuchukua, wakatupeleka hospitali.
Mwangi narrates his healing journey that has not been easy at all. He now uses a wheelchair but undergoes therapy twice a week at a cost of 3,500 shillings per session.
Ningetaka kufanya kazi ya taksi ama kununua vyombo mahali naweka kwa boot. Sasa natoka na wheelchair yangu nafungua boot na usa.
His wife Esther Nyawira narrates how the family's life changed drastically since after her husband ordeal.
Nimepitia mingi wakati huo, hakuwa hata anaweza kujipindua. Kwa hivyo lazima umpindue, lazima nikatafuta kabucket fulani ili asiteseke sana.
To assist Mwangi, you can send your financial assistance to his M-Pesa number 0724 598281.
We hope that Mwangi's family will receive the assistance that they much need. Now, farmers in Meru County are reaping big from their farmlands as compared to the previous seasons. The farmers attribute the bumper harvest to subsidized fertilizers offered by the government. However, officials from the Meru National Cereals and Produce Board have warned farmers from buying fake fertilizers and urged them to buy them from the depot.
With a panga in her hand, Agnes Bundi makes her way to her farm to tend to her flourishing potatoes. Agnes, who lives in Buinjeru village, Meru County, says that for years she has planted several types of crops on this particular farm with no yield. She attributes the good tidings to subsidized fertilizer offered by the government.
Nimeshukuru sana kwa serikali sababu ya hii fertilizer wametuletea. Mbeleni mimi nilikuwa napanda hapa, hakuna kitu nilikuwa napata. Sasa naona mimea ikiwa mzuri.
Due to the fertilizer, Agnes was also able to harvest a huge quantity of maize that she is currently spreading to dry in the sun, adding that she can now comfortably cater to her family needs. A few kilometers from Agnes' home, Joseph Bundi is busy as a bee attending to his cabbage farm. For Bundi, his farm story is similar to that of Agnes.
Na mimi nimelima mboga kwa miaka mingi. Lakini fertilizer nimeanza kulima naye, nimeona iko na faida kuliko ile ya mbele. Na nimeona inakuwa kubwa sana nikitumia hii fertilizer.
Purity Gatwiri, a maize farmer, is also expecting to harvest big this season.
Wakati huo mwingine hatupataji fertilizer ya kulima, lakini for now fertilizer imekuwa rahisi kwetu wa kulima.
Caroline Muridhi, an officer at Meru National Cereals and Produce Board Depot, says farmers are now taking farming seriously since the introduction of the subsidized fertilizer. She, however, warns farmers from being cheated into buying fake fertilizers.
Bila nataka kuambia wakulima wasindanganywe huko. Eri mtu akuje kwa Cereals Board hapa anunue mbolea. Juu walikuwa wanawandanganya wametoka nayo kwa Cereals Board.
But as the farmers here continue to appreciate the bumper harvest, the poor road network is a menace, hindering them from taking their farm produce to the market.
Thank you, Teresa Mota. We now want to bring you a story that rocked the world 78 years ago, and that is August 6th, 1945. Hell broke loose in Japan. A major catastrophe befell the people of Hiroshima. The United States and its allies detonated the first ever atomic bomb on human population. KBC's Judith Ekolo was recently in Japan, where she met 90-year-old Sadae Kasaoke, who has lived to tell the tale of Hiroshima bombing. Now here is the special feature, Hiroshima atomic bombing 78 years later.
The Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum stands out resolute in Hiroshima City, some 4-hour journey from Tokyo by bullet train. The museum is a living reminder of what happened 78 years ago that ended one of the most vicious wars in global history, the Second World War. Sadae Kasaoke, now 90 years old, walks into the lecture room that has been set aside by the Japanese government at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum. It is here that she tells the tales of the pain and anguish that the Japanese went through at 8 a.m. on August the 6th, 1945. As a young 12-year-old, Kasaoke, like many other children, had been conscripted into the Japanese military. She was set to join high school, but the call to duty for the country came first.
Even when I didn't go to school, it was to practice the fighting, just in case the enemy attacked.
On the 6th of August 1945, Kasaoke had been assigned to report to the factory that was used in smelting metals to make bullets. As she made her way to the factory, she was reminded that there was a blackout due to power rationing, so they would not be working that day. So she returned to her home to attend to other domestic chores. While hanging her laundry, there was a deafening sound, then immense heat. She ran to her grandmother's house, and together they hid in the bunker.
1945年8月6日 At 8:15 a.m. on August 6, 1945, the world's first atomic bomb was dropped on the city of Hiroshima.
On coming out, everywhere was dark. It was raining black rain. The closeness to the hypocenter, just 3.5 kilometers from their house, meant that they were in real danger. Her brothers were already conscripted into the military. Today, any mention of war brings sad memories of the happenings of August the 6th, 1945. Her lectures at the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum have remained a source of inspiration, as well as of the need for disarmament and to maintain a just and peaceful world.
No atomic bombs, no war. The war makes people suffer. It destroys happy families, especially the elderly, children, and those in a vulnerable situation are the ones who suffer the most.
Inside the museum are various artifacts and plaques. One that stands out is that of 3-year-old Shinichi Tetsutani, who was riding a tricycle near their home, some 1,500 meters from the hypocenter of the attack. When the bomb exploded, he suffered serious injuries and severe burns. He died that night, but the bicycle and the helmet remain preserved at the museum together with the plaque of Shinichi and his sister.
Thank you so much, Judith Okolo, for that report. Now we look at sports, where Arsenal beat Manchester City 4-1 in a penalty shootout with the community to win the Community Shield on Sunday and strike the first blow in this season's rivalry between the two clubs. The game had ended 1-1 draw in normal time before the Gunners won on penalties.
Trying to set the tone for Arsenal. Pre-season, the season. High percentage you might go to his left. Ramsdale's right. Trossard, the Belgian. Against Ortega, the German. Rodri, Champions League final hero.
All right, that wraps up the news this morning. I'm Marie Yambo. Up next is Eye on Politics with Victor Leo just after this break. See you next time.
This is Budapest, the magical capital of Hungary. And in August 2023, home to the World Athletics Championships, where everyday heroes meet superheroes. World Athletics Championships Budapest 2023.
Welcome back. I think Mari Yambo didn't tell you that if you're a Manchester United fan, you should wait for me in the staff room. As an Arsenal fan, I have all the bragging rights. Welcome to the program. It's a minute past 7 a.m. It's time for us to get into the real business of the day, Eye on Politics. And before then, I have got my guest in studio ready, Justina Wamai, who is progressive politician and running mate of Professor Wajakoya Roots Party in the last general election. Justina, good morning.
Morning, Victor.
25 years ago, Kenyans woke up to a very sad moment, the bomb blast. And many people to this particular point are still getting to terms because it was one of the biggest bomb blast attack ever to rock us. Where were you at that point, and probably some of the memories that takes you back to that year?
I was in class 5 in Kilimani Primary School,
and many of my classmates, their parents were actually victims of the bomb blast.
Yeah.
Actually, last year during the election, many of them were saying, kindly highlight the conversation. We've never been compensated. And it's a reprieve now that Senate, there's a committee that has said up to September 26th, they're going to look at their compensation. It wasn't a good scene, actually. At Kilimani and Mumbai town, you know, we had the blast at the time, that around August there. So we had gone for tuition. So I'm happy they're going to get compensated. However, it's late because...
It's second time, 25 years later.
Yes, and I think other countries, Tanzanians were compensated a while back. But I'm happy there is progress towards that end. Yes.
All right. And of course, our hearts still go to members of the public, and even some of the relatives and friends who lost their lives. Remember, some of the high-flying ministers were also holed up in that the bomb blast. It's called the Memorial Park right now.
Yes.
And a majority of them, actually, some of the embassies who were still domiciled in the CBD had to move outside of the city center, I think, because of that. But we'll be taking a look at that later on, and probably just to send our condolences even to our friends and relatives and even Kenyans who suffered during that bomb blast attack. All right. Right about now, let me take you through the traffic situation in the city. If you're still in the house, this is how Nairobi looks like this particular morning. So far, so good. This is a general outlook of the Nairobi city. But one interesting bit is this, Thika Road. The traffic situation along Thika Road, this is how it looks like. It's quite bumper to bumper, all the way from KCA University, coming down to Kenya Utalii Hotel, Muthaiga Square, that is Muthaiga Golf Club, joining the Kiambu Road. So messy. So if you're using Thika Road, you better get used to it. That coming past Pangani, Girls thereabouts is moving closely very well until you come towards Globe Roundabout and then finally into the CBD. So as far as the Thika Road is concerned, it's not so good looking. Wayaki Way, it's okay, moving pretty well. In and outbound car going past Consolata, going outside Westlands, roundabout, thereabout, towards Kangemi, all moving pretty well. But when you move towards ABC Place, that is the James Gishuru Road coming, because of that roundabout, the link road from Westlands link road joining Lavington Green. It's a bit busy coming down to Lavington Shopping Center, bumper to bumper, because that at that particular point, people use it as a shortcut towards Ngong Road. And finally, when you come towards Ngong Road, Gitanga, it's okay and moving very okay. Junction Mall, so far so good. Junction Mall coming down at the lights, past the traffic lights there at the Junction Mall, moving pretty well. But it starts to get a bit slow just as you approach Adams Arcade. But after that, coming to City Mortuary, down to Nairobi, that's around Daystar. That area is always busy because of the two roundabouts, one at the DOD and one at the around City Mortuary. But after that, Valley Road moving ultimately to Kenyatta Avenue to the CBD, moving well. Finally, on Uhuru Highway, if you're using Uhuru Highway to the CBD, inbound, outbound, looking so far so good. Those are the major roads in Nairobi. And finally, let me take you to... This is now in Mombasa. Mombasa, Nyali Road, so far so good until you get to the Kongowea Market, always notorious. After that, after Kongowea Market, Kengeleni coming to New Nyali Bridge, moving very well into the CBD. That is as far as that concerned. Makupa Causeway coming into the CBD also. Ikosawa, watu Mombasa, good morning. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. That is as far as that is concerned. Somebody's asking me, what about the Likoni Ferry? It's always a busy moment, every particular moment, because now people have to cross from the other side of the island, coming on this other side of the island. That is as far as that is concerned. Watu wa Kisumu, nothing much to report about. That is the traffic situation in Kisumu City. So, watu wa Kisumu, it's your time to go to work and let's build Kenya. That is as far as that concerned. Shortly, I'll take you on the headlines of our local and international dailies, starting with BBC. But before then, let me go or come back home and start with the Daily Nation. On the front page of the Daily Nation, unemployment pandemic unemployment pandemic. That is also on the front page of the Daily Nation. Is it a ticking time bomb? One, new data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics reveal an alarming trend. Despite thousands of new graduates entering the job market annually, nearly 3 million Kenyans continue to grapple with unemployment. The latest statistics released in April underscore the urgent need to address a mounting unemployment rate. This is outpacing the growth of the labor force. So there are some statistics here which were obtained from the Kenya Bureau of Statistics. 1.5% by end of 2022, Kenyans had a labor force of around 19.39 million, and underlining a growth of 1.1% and from the previous year. That is what is there. And 2.97 at the start of 2023, unemployment stood at 2.97 million. That's a 3% increase from a year earlier. And 1.59%, more than half of Kenyans without jobs, or 1.54% million people were between 20 and 29 years, underlining the growth crisis of youth unemployment. And finally, over the 4 years to 2022, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics data also shows that the youth population, that is 77%, bears the heaviest brand of the population that remains unemployed for more than a year. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. On the last page, still on the front page, Azimio Kenya Kwanza first meeting set for Wednesday. President William Ruto and Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya leader Raila Odinga's dialogue teams have tentatively agreed to hold their inaugural talks on Wednesday, even as they continue to lock horns on the agenda and timeliness for the negotiations. That is what's on the front page of the Daily Nation. So is it a point of hard stance or just strategy to kickstart this particular talks? So it is talks about talks. Justina.
I think I was right when I sat here one day and said that when Mheshimiwa was telling us this has to stop, I said it is either two things, either violence or money will be poured. So when I look at this conversation, it is just
in this case, which Mheshimiwa are you talking about? Which Mheshimiwa are you talking about?
Mheshimiwa Ruku, who is here.
Oh, okay. What?
You remember that time they had said that this maandamano must end. We will bring our supporters. So when I look at the whole conversation, it's just stalling. It's just making us Kenyans feel like there's something that is happening. But I think behind the scene, there's a conversation that has happened. Sadly, it's not like public, like the 2018 one, the handshake. But for now, let's wait and see. But my urge to the political class or the ruling class, who are now the establishment, they need to realize that this lack of political stability is hurting the ordinary Kenyan, who is worried whether if I go to work today, then they say there's mandamano tomorrow. The ordinary Kenyan is tired of this conversation. They just want to continue living their life and surviving in this country. Yes.
Mheshimiwa Ruku, over the weekend, you're in your constituency. First of all, good morning. How is Mbeere North doing?
Mbeere North is doing well.
It was a busy weekend for you.
Yes, Mbeere North is good. We are doing all what we can to improve the situation in Mbeere North. Yes.
Justina Omai is foreseer. She said something, and coincidentally again you're here, about the talks,
Yes, you remember the last time you were here, we were categorical that the demonstrations would be the last one, and that we are not going to see a violent demonstration in this country again, because that decision, our government has made it very clear, and even the political leadership of Kenya Kwanza has made it very clear that we are not going to experience violent demonstration in the Republic of Kenya again, because it is also contrary to the Article 37 of our Constitution. And therefore, it happened. Both parties agreed to have discussions, but the issues to be discussed are very minimal. One of the pertinent issues to be discussed, which we both agree, is IBC. It's part of the main agenda. And whatever other agenda which Azimio may be bringing on table, they are non-issues agenda. Because already, if you look at the different arms of government, if you look at whatever is happening in Parliament, that is both National Assembly and the Senate, some of the issues tabled there are in the process of getting enactment, of a proper law. Therefore,
let me cut you short there, Mheshimiwa. I'm told this is probably the microphone. Okay, this is something to be fixed shortly from the technical. You'll continue from there. Right, I beg your pardon on that. All right, so just to pick it from where Mheshimiwa Ruku has said that Wednesday picked for initial meeting as talks inch closer. Will it be the final one? Ichung'wah had last week rejected a proposal by Kalonzo to have the talks to start at Serena Hotel today. We'll be taking a look why the choice of location is also contested, why that is there. Raila Ruto teams agree on date but are yet to agree on venue and time. That is quite fundamental. And according to Azimio, according to Raila Odinga, he says that they must know that Kenyans are not prisoners. If they agree, well and good. If they do not, we'll resume the demonstrations. He said that yesterday in Nyamira. So let's get to more on that. Inside the ticking time bomb, that is Kenya's job crisis. That is on the front page of the Daily Nation. It's taking some inner pages here. Continuing from the first page until page 6 thereabout. So you have to take a look at that. Kenyans graduate writing papers for foreign students to make ends meet. That, I think, a majority of Kenyans have done that. And it's one of the creative ways of just getting a coin or two there. So the situation here on the front page and the inner pages is about unemployment rate of unemployment in the country. All right, let me take you through the front page of the Standard newspaper. What's on the front page of the Standard? Azimio fury at ICC's Khan tour. That is Karim Khan. Opposition says that it is against rules of the game for the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court to engage President Ruto when police have killed protesters and no action taken. That is on the front page of the Standard newspaper. Azimio fury at ICC's Khan tour. The story continues on page 4, and Azimio protests ICC prosecutors visit after outcry over police action. It is said that Karua says Khan's visit after the Azimio and state wrote to ICC over political unrest is suspect, and ICC prosecutor declined to confirm whether he had ever received any letters from Azimio. Khan jetted into the country on Thursday and was on Friday conferred with an honorary Doctor of Laws degree by Mount Kenya University for his contribution to the corridors of justice and services to humanity. Perhaps I can take you back, Mheshimiwa Ruku, before you didn't finish your statement. I'll give you a minute to finish up what you're saying. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. What I was saying is that we are committed that there will be no violence again ever in the Republic of Kenya because it contradicts Article 37 of our Constitution. Yes, you have a right to demonstrate, but that demonstration must be peaceful and it must be unarmed. We have experienced very unarmed and also very violent demonstrations, and we are committed that the last maandamano or demonstration which were done by Azimio will be the last. And true to the one, that is exactly what happened. And therefore, the discussions which are taking place, one, we are demanding that they happen in a public place. There is no need of a discussion taking place in Serena Hotel or in KBC when Azimio is claiming that they want to discuss how to lower the cost of living, because that cost will be met by public payers' money or taxpayers' money. If it's not the same as holding talks at County Hall, which which is a place for Parliamentary Service Commission.
Yes.
Or even Kenya School of Government. We have proper areas where these talks can happen, and Kenyans will not incur any cost because already Kenyans have put those infrastructure in place. So we are insisting. The issue of going to Serena or Kempiski or other five-star hotels in town is against the principle.
Where's the problem with that? Where's the problem with that?
Because the bills, the costs will be quite expensive. We'll spend millions of money by the time these discussions are finished. Who will pay for that cost? It is Kenyans.
Okay.
We are talking about we don't have money to take care of many other important functions of the people of the Republic of Kenya.
Yes.
Why should we incur all that money when the main issue which is being contested here is the elections of 2022? And those elections were done in a very fair, transparent, and verifiable way. Kenyans did their work, and that process was concluded.
Okay.
So these are the issue of someone not accepting that we have a constitution in the Republic of Kenya which stipulates how things should be conducted. Should not be a reason why Kenyans should continue incurring huge burden. So let's have discussion in a public place. Let's see those discussions being held.
There's nothing sinister about changing the venue.
No, it's about it's all about the bills. It's
cost
all
cutting.
It's all about cutting the costs of these discussions, and so that they can also, and also let these talks be not only in public places, but also televised. Let's Kenyans hear what Kalonzo Musyoka is talking about and his team. Let's also Kenyans hear what Kimani Ichung'wah and his team they are talking about. Let's be sincere. Let's be honest to Kenyans. Why? Because in the past, we know Azimio has played this conmanship kind of politics. It must come to an end. We are committed as Kenya Kwanza politicians and as government to ensure this type of politics comes to an end, and Kenya will have a total paradigm shift as far as politics, how to conduct campaigns and politics of this country.
Okay, fair enough. I'll get into that. I don't know whether you want to react to that, Justina.
Very quickly.
Okay.
We need morality in our politics. And it's good to also look at what have you ever done in the past that is biting you now. When you look at 2007, the president now was in the side of Raila Amolo Odinga, pushing Kibaki to get a handshake. So I don't know why it's so difficult now for the president to accept the fate that he pushed Kibaki to do, to accept that Raila is part of government. Needless to say, government is saying they are cutting costs. But I don't see the rationale of having the president going to open Githurai market that had already been opened by the president, the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta. That there is a cost implication. And let me remind government that cost cutting is two-way. They cannot force Kenyans to cut costs, but then they continue to be extravagant in what they're doing. So I want government to also be honest and genuine that if they want us to cut costs, they should not be launching projects that were launched by the former president. Even the president traveling like this, that is a cost on logistics. Where is the honesty in all this? So let us have morality in our politics. Probably it is President Ruto's karma now. What happened to Kibaki? No, the shoe is in his leg now. So he has to also be flexible to remember that karma is there in this life. It is part of life. Sometimes the decisions you make in the past come to bite you later.
Okay. All right. All right. Mheshimiwa Raila says that he's ruled out handshake. That's according to former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. He said Raila rules out handshake, deal with Ruto. That's on the front page of the Standard. Mheshimiwa Ruko, it's been, Raila says he doesn't want, but Kenya Kwanza says Raila is yearning for a handshake. So who is speaking the truth? From what he said yesterday, some of the words that we cannot, he's not interested in, for a handshake. I mean,
Raila is not speaking the truth because we are in constant communication or conversation with Azimio members of parliament and other politicians. We are in the same house, and
we discuss like colleagues. We discuss like common or politicians, and you can be sure that they are looking forward to getting into government. And what Raila says in public is completely different with exactly what he means. And because we have been very consistent that we will not accept any kind of handshake, we will not accept any kind of power sharing, we will not accept any kind of post-elections arrangement. That's why he's trying to tell Kenyans that he's not interested in power sharing. That was one of his key agendas for him to start talking about getting a mediator outside this country. So that that mediator can try to twist the government for him to be part of the government. And it's not going to happen. We have to respect our constitution.
One interesting thing that we cannot authenticate, because there's a gentleman called Murphy. One of the Murphy's law says that if you want a loan, first of all, you have to prove that you don't want it. So I don't know who is speaking the truth. Kenya Kwanza, does Kenya Kwanza want Raila Odinga in government? But the first thing, you have to deny that you don't want him, so that if at all it happens, then the politics will change.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen. There will be no power sharing. Already we need a very powerful and strong opposition. And that's why one of the agendas which we have proposed as Kenya Kwanza is to discuss how the leader of opposition can have a seat in parliament, can be a member of parliament. Because we want Raila Odinga to sit in parliament as a leader of opposition where Wadai sits, so that whatever he agitates for this country, he can be in that platform, which is an extremely premium platform, to be there and agitate for. And is a platform which can change the way things are done in the Republic of Kenya if you convince both sides of the house.
Just what if, Mheshimiwa, we find Raila Odinga in the Kenya Kwanza government? In whichever way and form.
It will be very chaotic. It will be very chaotic because even as members of Kenya Kwanza coalition, we will completely say no, and we will tell the president that's not the right direction. That's not what Kenya said, and that is not what the Constitution of the Republic, which we were so need to defend, what says. So it will be very chaotic, and from the one go, we will not agree with our president if that happens.
I'm also asking this question because outside it's chaotic. Justina, outside it's chaotic. Maandamano will stop. This will not happen. Again, when Raila gets into government, again, it will be chaotic. Let me just ask, being Raila is not easy.
Being in a country where the economy is not working is not even easy. Because look at the conversation. It's about now Kenya Kwanza, it's about Azimio. They're forgetting the ordinary Kenyan whose bills are not paid for by government. If Raila Amolo Odinga joins Kenya Kwanza government, his bills are going to be paid for by the government. His life continues as if nothing happened. But the ordinary Kenyan who lives hand to mouth, who is surviving, what are they thinking about them? If the economy, if both of them, both sides of the divide in parliament came up with economic policies that are making sense, how I wish even the issue of unemployment, where do we have unemployment? High cost of production, in Kenya. And I think everything started biting us when power went up, and then there is no money, the revenue, there are no refunds from KRA to private sector, and then also asking for kickbacks by people who, if you want to invest in Kenya, someone asks for a kickback, you go to another country to invest. So if the economic policies by both of them in the National Assembly were making sense, then even we'd have investors in this country. And I dare say that the role of government is not to create employment, it is to create a conducive environment for businesses to thrive. So if it is easier for us to take our poison, which is let us have him in government, let his bills be paid by government the way he's used to. But for the Kenyan now, open up your eyes. Come 2027, are you going to vote for someone who wants to be in a handshake? Are you going to vote for a government that is inept in terms of even creating a conducive environment for businesses to thrive? That is where now the conversation comes back to the ordinary Kenyan. When you're voting, kindly move away from the conversation of this one will remove this one. And then when it comes to delivery, where it matters most, let us have an honest conversation about even not taking handouts and big money spent in politics, so that when you vote for someone who has an idea of what they're doing, the government will not be relaunching projects that are launched by someone else. And it is important for government to know that every cycle, every election cycle, the voter changes. Now, when he was launching Githure, you would see pictures very quickly that Uhuru delivers. It goes to show that even that PR in politics is not now helping anyone. Kenyans just want delivery. They want to see that if government is working, my cost of life is lower, my cost of paying power bills is lower. That is what Kenyans want to see. They don't want to watch on TV. They just want to feel that the economy is working for them.
Let's take a break. When we come back, I'll take you through the front page of the Star newspaper and two international papers. That's the BBC and France 24, so that we can continue with our discussion. It's almost 1 year since we went to the election, 9th of August, today is 7th. So we want to take a look at what has so far happened in the Kenya Kwanza administration, the hits and misses. That's coming up shortly after this break. We'll be back very shortly.
There are times when reason becomes unclear in the heart and forbidden loves come to life. Isabel Montalban will now convert paradise into a land of the wild. She knows her heart is true to one of the Oteros, but is not quite sure who of the three it is. Now, their feud will blind them well beyond the core of their blood bond. In these wild lands, it is the rule of heart that is supreme. In wild lands.
The first person to change the Kikuyu music was Gachungi Medziri. He had recorded some recordings which were called Columbia, the first Kikuyu recording music.
Mugi the artists have been exploited, so the argument continues, because they were hired and paid a take-it-or-leave-it one-time settlement. Be that as it may, this constricted underground activity in rural and urban areas lent itself more to solo performances by men returning from the Second World War, armed with accordions and guitars.
Welcome back. And a quick one, front page of the Star newspaper, why Ruto Raila talks could collapse again. Why Ruto Raila talks could collapse again. The two camps have engaged in a fresh spat and bravado that could spell doom for initiative. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper here. Ruto lays out plan to define Mount Kenya development legacy. He's in the mountain for a 5-day tour of the mountain that is accompanied by top government officials, including his deputy Rigathi Gachagua and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. Very quickly, bomb blast Kenyans mark 25th anniversary of tragedy. We've taken a look at that. Probably Mheshimiwa Ruku will also give you a moment to comment about that. It's 25 years on. That is why Ruto-Raila talks could collapse again. Raila was in Nyamira yesterday, and is it the big divide so far? As it is, Mheshimiwa, 25 years later, the bomb blast, we can still all remember. I gave Mheshimiwa Justina to comment on that, and still fresh in our minds as Kenyans.
It was one of the worst situations which this country experienced, and we should be able to fight such an act of terrorism with a lot of cooperation from different agencies from different corners of the world, because it's something which should not happen in any other part of the world, whether it is Kenya or any other country. And for those who died, their memories are still with us as Kenyans. And for those who are injured, we continue asking the government and also the family members to support them so that they can be able to endure the injuries they suffered.
Right.
It's not a good experience.
Okay. So let's get straight into it. Just to get your apology is that Mheshimiwa Zulekha will not be here because of an unavoidable circumstance, as well as Charles Ngusia, who is Mwingi West Member of Parliament. Said that he is also found an emergency and he is now forced to drive back to his constituency. That is the information I'm getting. So I'll not have Mheshimiwa Zulekha as well as Mheshimiwa Charles Ngusia, who is on his way back to the constituency. All right. Nonetheless, the show will continue. Great brains in studio. Okay, so the president is the mountain, Mheshimiwa Ruku, and you said that you're with him over the weekend. The question many people are asking, is it a political tour or developmental tour to the mountain, or to assert his authority to the mountain people that he's still in charge?
First of all, it was very symbolic for the president to go back to the mountain, because he has not gone officially, he was not received as a king. Every corner of this country has its own traditions and customs. And one of the traditions or customs of Mount Kenya is that our king has to ensure he crosses Livachania during the day and driving his motorcade. And he has to be in his residence before 6. And he has to take 8 hours. So it was a journey symbolic to ensure that we have a new king of Mount Kenya region, who is now our President William Ruto. We received him as a king, as our king. So that's our customs and traditions. That is what I may call, an expression, okay? That yes, we have a king who is going to be in power in that position for another 10 years. And is someone who we all, as a mountain, accept to work with closely. But having said that, it is also a very good 5 working days or 4 working days on developmental projects. So we are discussing quite a number of projects about tea, about coffee, about our milk, about our macadamia, about avocado, about rice, about potatoes, all those agricultural products, because it's one of the basket of which produces in large quantities about this agricultural product, and people there depend on this agricultural product to earn a living, to pay for the school fees, to support their families, and these are some of the projects which will be discussed and which have been discussed yesterday and the previous day by the president and his cabinet and even permanent secretaries and even CEOs of parastatals and chairmen of parastatals. All of them are there for these few days. President will be there to ensure all programs are properly aligned with the needs of the people. And to talk about, yes, the development, but also the economy, the growth. How are we going to create jobs? We have many youth within the mountain who are not employed. How are these youth, the young people, how will they get employment? And also for the president to explain clearly to his economic plan to the common mwananchi on how he's going to create employment for the young people within the mountains. So it's quite a developmental tour, but also in a symbolic way to say, yes, finally we have a king within Mount Kenya region who we are going to give a chance to lead us as a region for another 10 years.
Okay. So where does that leave the deputy president if president is now crowned as the king? Where does that leave the deputy president, Justina?
It has ended the conversation of who is Mount Kenya kingpin. William Ruto is the Mount Kenya kingpin, and I would like every leader in Mount Kenya to just move on from who is our kingpin. We know that now William Ruto is our kingpin. As he goes on with the projects, I hope he will not be relaunching projects that were done by Uhuru Kenyatta. Let us see his different creativity and innovation in solving the problems facing people of the mountain. Yes.
Okay. On the project which were arranged by President Kenyatta, remember most of the project were arranged during the first 5 years, first term.
Yes.
2013, 2017. Actually, not many projects which were arranged in 2018 to 2022, because 2017 to 2022 it was about BBI, it was about handshake, it was about sacking people from different parastatals, sacking people from different departmental committees in parliament. It was chaos. It was nothing which was moving in government other than borrowing money and paying our current expenditure from the borrowed money, something which this government has decided that we cannot borrow money to pay recurrent expenditure, to pay our salaries, to support, to fuel government vehicles. This government is committed in coming up with ways, internal ways, including paying taxes, to ensure we support the operations of day-to-day, the running of government.
Yes.
So, and in the first 5 years, William Ruto was very instrumental into the planning of the project which were being implemented by the government. And remember, even people are saying, why are you going to Mount Kenya all this time? There were quite a number of people complaining that Ruto is always in Mount Kenya, is not going to his region, Left Valley. And all the projects which are in Mount Kenya at the moment, through President Uhuru's government, all of them were originated by William Ruto and launched by William Ruto. Some of them are not complete. So there will be nothing wrong going back to the project which he initiated when he was deputy president, because he had so many facets in Mount Kenya region.
Let me ask this question, and probably you'll correct me if I'm wrong. We have got ministers and cabinet secretaries heading these departments. We have got Alice Wahome, who heads the water department. Why not give that latitude and space to the cabinet secretaries to launch these projects, which were started by the government, and now we have got ministries heading such kind of initiatives? Let me just get your word, Mheshimiwa Justina.
I think it's indicative that politics is very fun, but when it comes to getting the job done, it's very boring. Because I'm seeing the president.
What do you mean?
The president, in his element, he's a politician. That we know. But as a leader, it's like he's getting so bored staying in one place. He just wants to keep on traveling, and that is why we are saying that if the government is saying there is no money, money that we have to tighten our belt. But the government is living large. The trips, they're extravagant, they are costly to the taxpayers. So how I wish that you would even give the CSS the latitude to do the job. It even goes to show maybe sometimes the president might be seen like he's a one-man show because he's complaining that his CSS are not working, but he's also there in their face, not even giving them the space to do things. So probably even the CSS are worried. So I think the president should not focus on setting the agenda, the delivery, and the guidance, but being on the ground all the time. It's showing that he's not moved away from campaigns and politics. We look forward to a day we'll miss the president on TV. They we used to miss Kibaki, and then when we see him, we are excited. We are like, hey, the guy is back. But now every time he's just on our faces, we are wondering, is it campaign time or delivery? So it goes to say that campaign times are very fun, but delivery is very boring in this country.
Wishmaruku, you want to respond to that?
Yes, it's not correct.
Yes,
that allegation is not true, because on 15th of July, I hosted CS Waome to launch a water project in my constituency, in Bere North. To launch Ena's Chicago water project, which is financed by the government of Kenya. It's not William Ruto who came, it's not the deputy president who came, it is a minister of water on 15th of July. On the last week, I was with the Minister of East Africa Cooperation and Arid and Semi-Arid, Madam Rebecca Meano, in my constituency again, to launch a hard dam, which is also financed by NDMA, National Drought Management Authority, which is a parastatal and a ministry, and we were there a whole day. So ministers are busy going around the Republic of Kenya, talking to the Kenyans, listening to the Kenyans, getting the needs of the people, and so that they can be aligned with their day-to-day activities. So it is not true that the ministers are not moving around the country and launching different projects. Already I have hosted 2 ministers.
But we all agree that there's a very thin line between launching projects and developmental tour and politics.
Remember, all those who are in power, President William Ruto is a politician. He campaigns to be in that position. And therefore, he has to go reminding Kenyans that, yes, you gave me this position. This is what I have done so far. And I'm planning to do more. I'm planning to do 1, 2, 3. So you cannot just sit in the office. Remember, yes, Kibaki was a gentle politician. He stayed in State House. He worked very hard for this nation, and he did a good job. But remember what happened in 2015 during the referendum of banana and oranges? He sacked the entire of his government because he thought the CSAs and the PSAs and all these members of government were busy supporting the government programs on the grassroots. But when Kibaki was busy working in State House, also other politicians, they decided also to stay indoors. And it was disaster. When he tried to go out there and say the referendum is good, whatever the proposed draft constitution is good, Kenyans told him no. So he ended up sacking all.
That was a historical moment.
All the government, the PSs, assistant ministers, and ministers. And we stayed without ministers and assistant ministers and permanent secretary for more than a week. And that is why we ended up having a very contested and a very violent general election of 2007-2008. So it is extremely important to go out there and talk to the people and unite Kenyans by talking to them, by explaining to them what the government is doing. And the end of the government and end of state we have is one, William Samoei Ruto. So we expect him not only to be in State House making this plan, but also to have developmental tours where he's going to explain to the people in a very candid way on what his government is doing.
What do you make of that, Justina?
I think it goes back to what I said. Politics is very fun, but delivery is very boring.
It's very boring.
That is what it's showing us with all the explanation. Because even the Kenyan of today, actually this is a conversation Kenyans are realizing. The economy is dependent on the people who are elected. They are the ones who influence policy. So even if he goes on the ground to hear what Kenyans are saying, you have never put Biblia chini because unga is still more than 100 shillings. So let him first concentrate on giving us the delivery. Let us feel that something has changed in this country without necessarily seeing him all the time. Development is not about seeing you. It's about feeling that right now the government is not borrowing from domestically, so the banks are now hawking their products. You know, that is what we feel for private sector, that you can even access funding or loans quickly because there's no competition between you in private sector and the government. So we want to feel first the difference, not really seeing him, because we saw too much of him in the campaigns. So it's time for delivery. However boring it is, he has no choice, but he asked for the job. We just want to feel that this change.
Yeah, we all know the president is a go-getter. He's hands-on. So you probably correct, because he has to get out there and see work done. The question is...
But you know, there's something we're talking about...
As to respond to that, does it mean that he also wanted to quell the tension in the mountain because of the Finance Act? The heat, you know, some slow simmering tension in the mountain?
There is no tension in the mountain whatsoever. The people of mountain are very hardworking people. They wake up very early in the morning to do their issue of business. The only thing they need from government is assurance that they are going to, government is going to protect their property. Government is going to give them conducive environment. You know, Martha Karua and Kioni, they are senior members of Azimio and who come from the mountain. The reasons why they are not considered in some of these talks is because there was not even a single tire which was burnt in the entire mountain. Not even a single tire which was burnt. Because the people of mountain are busy and they are in total support of the programs which the government is putting in place. And by the way, of course, we have started seeing the prices of quite a number of commodities coming down. And one of the things which we are going to experience in a couple of months from now, or 1 month from now, is a bumper harvest because of the plan which the government put in place. So we expect the prices of many commodities to come down, including unga. We have seen the prices of cooking oil coming down. We have seen the prices of onion, the prices of cabbages and all these vegetables coming down. And it is through a deliberate plan by the end of state that we have to do work. We cannot cut, you know, the cost. We cannot bring the cost of living down by just talking about it. It's by people working. If you fly today from, I don't know, from Meru all the way to Busia, you'll be able to see how we have green farms. That has been achieved by first registering farmers. This government registered 5 million farmers within a month, a program which the previous government was unable to achieve. Number two, ensuring that fertilizer is available and is distributed across the nation. Different types of fertilizer for coffee, for tea, for maize, for beans, for whatever you are farming. That has been done. And now, already the program of further supplying fertilizer to farmers through subsidized program from 3,500 now to 2,500. And the president is willing even to bring it down. Maybe we are going to see even going to 2,000 Kenya shilling, so that the production can be increased. That's the only way. We don't have any other magic. We will not put sufrias on our ends and then we get maize.
Is the price of unga just normal word price of unga, or unga is just a general term used cost of living? Because unga is our staple food, fine. So the price of unga will come to 90. Let me just say, the price of sugar will still remain at 450. They're not related.
The price of sugar is a big It's a big issue, which also this government is...
But we all agree that it has to be cost of living in totality.
Yes, I agree. Whether it's sugar, whether it's maize, whether it's wheat, the bottom line is we have to get right on the production of sugarcane, production of wheat, production of maize.
I'll get into that discussion when we talk about the hit and misses of the Kenya Kwanza administration, almost 1 year on, and that's going to, Justina, probably, had you been in government, what would you have done differently? As assume Kenyans elected you and now you are the deputy president now, the hits and misses, what would you have taken home? Okay, so let me ask you this question. At the end of the day, somebody is saying that the president is taking a lot of time in the mountain, 5 days. He goes somewhere once, then back to State House, but he's taking 5 days in the mountain. Why? I mean...
Probably there is fear that the mountain has shifted. With the Finance Bill and the Finance Act, the conversation that was there on public participation.
Yes.
Many people from the mountain was not happy. Even we saw Mushomba saying
Which
that...
Meruko says that there's nothing like that.
There is. That's the reality on the ground. And it's the faster they understand that, the better. Mushomba was saying that Kenyans are saying, we do not want houses to sleep in. We want industries to work in. That was even Mushomba herself tried to say that the mountain is not happy. So I think the president is trying to bring back the mountain and trying to show them that this is the agenda. However, the president also and the people of the mountain have to accept one thing. During campaigns, they benefited largely from harambes. They benefited largely from being given handouts in the campaigns. Now, whatever is biting them, do your sasa. Because what they ate during campaigns, there's something called return on investment. Yeah. So I'm feeling like they're being hypocritical to complain, but they knew that when this money was coming, even for the harambes, it had come from somewhere, maybe campaign financials. Now, the people want the return on investment. So I think that anything this government maybe can make us feel that that cost of living has been brought down. We also need to move away from rain-fed agriculture. Right now, we are seeing that the other farms that are drying up, people had planted, fertilizers was given out, but the rains have gone. Then when the rain have gone again, what are we doing? In Laikipia, plants are drying up. So maybe we would see they'd complete a very large dam. And then Alice Ome is complaining that her budget was taken away for the dams. So we are wondering, are you just going to give us fertilizer? Remember, they were given in 12 priority counties. What about a small-scale farmer like myself? I've never seen an NCPB in Roy. Where am I going to pick the fertilizer from? So there is so much that goes into agriculture that is an input far beyond the fertilizer.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's shift gears.
Can I respond briefly?
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
You know, we Kenyans are... funny. We really thrive on rumors. Rumors. Like now what my colleague here she's talking about is pure rumors. And it's not right just to talk about rumors without checking the facts. Already, Aris Waome, the Minister of Water, has strict instructions from the President to ensure over 4,000 dams, mini dams we have in the Republic of Kenya are desilted before the next rains, which may start sometimes early October or mid-October. Because there is weather forecast that we are going to experience El Nino in the coming season. If it's about the budget being cut to do the dams and implement water projects, then President will not be giving such kind of instruction to ensure all the dams, mini dams we have in the Republic of Kenya are desilted so that we can improve on water harvesting. One thing which this country has failed in the previous administration is water harvesting. We have huge rains, then immediately after that we start complaining on lack of water when we had very huge rainfall, but our technologies, our effort in terms of water harvesting are always not as par.
Yes.
Now the President is insisting the Minister of Water must ensure in the coming days water harvesting is going to be.
She's
here.
Yes.
She's just peddling rumors. Number two, we are the politicians. We are always with the people. Yesterday and the previous day and even today. By the way, by 10 a.m. I will be in the constituency talking to people. The thing is, there is no discontent in the mountain.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. The director said that we need to take a quick break. But before then, Justina, I'm just quite interested in asking, at the end of the day, what if we don't have enough rain to sustain us, to have the bumper harvest? We have not harvested the water that the government is talking about. We don't have dams. So what else? We'll still go and come back to the same cycle of high cost of living, there's no unga and all that. Some type of creativity. I mean, the question I would want to ask you, ungefanyaje differently if you're the government today?
After the break or now?
You can comment on that as we go to the break. Quick one.
What would have done differently? Remember, industrial hemp grows, it doesn't need so much water to grow. Number two, it is versatile, it is short cycle, that we could even produce food from it,
yes,
sugar beets from it, so that we would have been different. Number two, maybe if in the line of Kibaki, we remember Kibaki because of Thika Road, we remember Uhuru because of the expressway, we would have focused on a large dam, a mega dam, something like what we have in Egypt or Israel, and we'd even partner with them to come and show us how we're going to harvest our water. Yes, and the technology is in place. So that would have been the most different, so that at least Kenyans, when they're saying that sugarcane sugar is expensive, then you have an option of hemp sugar, which is cheaper, it is short cycle, it grows in 4 months. Sugarcane grows in 1 year. So I need to see creativity from this government. And also to tell the government that there is a petition I took to the National Assembly for decriminalization of industrial hemp, or katani in Kiswahili. The president is actually the best person to implement this, because that is his educational background, botany and all that. So we want to see a difference in approach, because remember, even climate change is affecting this country. Fertilizers are also not good at this point. Remember, the greenhouse gases, fertilizer is being told that it's bringing more in terms of greenhouse gas, and we are affecting the ozone layer. So we need to even move away from the fertilizers and come up with climate resilient crops that do not need fertilizer.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's take a break. But before then, how about I take you on the front page, as I promised, of international papers. Here on the front page of the BBC, it's a story that has been ongoing for quite some time. So this is it. Niger coup, junta shuts airspace citing military intervention threat. The issue of Niger there, the coup in the West African country. Niger coup leaders have closed the country's airspace until further notice, citing the threat of military intervention from their neighbors. Now, there is a flight tracking website, that is Flight Radar 24, which is showing that there are currently no aircraft in Niger's skies. The West African group of countries, that is ECOWAS, had earlier warned it could use force if President Mohamed Bazoum was not reinstated by 2300 GMT on Sunday. So that is what's happening in the West African countries. So the military took over. The takeover has been internationally condemned, including by former colonial power France and the rest of the European Union, as well as the United Nations and the United States. That is happening in Niger. You have it there. Very quickly, and finally on France 24, again, still on the same thing. Niger coup leaders rally supporters as ECOWAS deadline passes. This is some of the leaders who are addressing the press. Watu habari tunakuanga na kazi sana. That is what's there. So ECOWAS steps up pressure on Niger coup leaders. Let me take you there. That is West African military chiefs on Friday said that a plan for a possible military intervention in Niger if coup leaders do not stand down has been made. Earlier, France rejected the Niger junta's move to scrap bilateral military pacts, saying that only Niger's quote-unquote legitimate leadership was entitled to do so. That is what is happening in the Western country. Of course, ECOWAS is also having their voice as far as that is concerned. We just hope that our brothers in the African countries will find peace in the long run. Very well, let's take a break, and we come back. We are still continuing the discussion here on the Eye on Politics. Stay with us.
Niangalie. Unajua ile inzi kubwa ya choo?
Basi unahitaji upatiwe kongole kwa kazi nzuri ya leo.
Umepita bahali ufanye kupita sasa. Uko serious?
Si unanijua mimi kila siku hapa?
Aki,
Anchome.
na hicho yote.
Nitashukuru sana.
Okay.
Wewe uchaba.
Wewe ni nini wewe?
Unaenda wapi?
Unaniumiza mkono na hii rungu yako. Soma hapa.
Chuchuish.
Sikiza Chemasunde. Ni aidha uende ukafanywe inspection na ukishindwa basi hiyo mlango ya geti Chemasunde itabidi utoke nayo.
Toa hiyo kitu umeweka kwa macho. Nani sensi ya Mungu.
This is the show that keeps you updated on everything you need to know about technology.
Digital resilience is about organizations being able to continue to operate despite negative impacts that they've experienced.
The subject digital transformation, we keep talking about it, but very many people fail to understand that.
Twitter's removal of blue ticks is forcing accounts to find new ways to prove authenticity as concerns over copycats mount. At the same time, Elon Musk has given blue ticks to a few celebrities who didn't ask for one, such as writer Stephen King and Larry Madowo, for free.
Take on Tech every Monday at 10:30 p.m. on KBC Channel 1. Stay tuned.
And welcome back. In studio is Godfrey Ruku, Member of Parliament, Mbeere North, and Justin Wamai, progressive politician and former running mate, Roots Party in the last general election. 1 year, almost a year, Kenyans went to the ballot to the general election, that is 9th of August 2022. Today is 7th of August, almost 1 year down the line. We want to take a look at what the Kenya Kwanza administration have achieved to this far. What are some of the hits and misses as far as the administration is concerned? Mheshimiwa, now that you're an active member of the legislature and member of the Kenya Kwanza administration, I'll give you probably 1 or 2 minutes so that you can highlight some of the hits and misses as we come closer to the 1 year mark. Go ahead.
One of the great achievement which this administration has done is to ensure it cut down the foreign debt in terms of changing the trajectory of continuous borrowing by huge margin and cutting down unnecessary budget line.
Yes.
To close to 500 billion Kenyan shilling. That's very huge in terms of the burden to Kenyans. At the same time, trying to align the budget with the value chain processes, something which has never been done in the past. And these are things which Kenyans will start appreciating in the coming days. It may not be the immediate results at the moment, but Kenyans will start appreciating the coming days on why it is extremely important to align the budget with the value chain process. For instance, Kenya is the third largest livestock country, which has huge hands of livestock.
For export?
No. The standing hands of livestock, the third largest in the Africa. Why should we be the major importer of shoes in the Republic? I mean, when you compare with other countries. So, in the coming days, according to how the budget is aligned with the value chain process, we will start production or manufacturing of shoes locally so that we can decrease the importation of shoes. And also, we will be growing more product which can be exported to other countries. What I'm trying to say is alignment of the value chain with the budget is an extremely and critical thing which this government has achieved. Cutting down the foreign the borrowing and ensuring that unnecessarily cutting down the excesses of government by close to 500 billion. And also extremely important, remember there is a Eurobond which is coming to maturity by next year, June. And this government has told whoever the bodies which were organizing this Eurobond that please, we don't want to wait for June next year for us to pay. We want to pay now. So that
the president talked about it yesterday that there's a loan that's maturing very soon.
Yes, so that we may not pay at the interest we are talking about. And every person is in World Bank, in IMF, in all these multilateral institutions, they are surprised that Kenya can say, we want to pay your money now, and we don't need your money. Okay. Then another very important milestone in aligning the economy. You know, the economy was in tatters. And this government has really done a lot of work to put it into perspective. Where do we get resources from? This government have invested 5 billion Kenya shilling with Africa Exim Bank, which is going to give this country huge facilities to implement different projects. That was an extremely brilliant idea by the president and his team to take some money and invest in the African institution so that it can be getting lines of facilities to implement different projects instead of going to Chinese, to European Union and other bodies which have been lending money to this nation. When it comes to the issues to do with the cost of living, we have seen the effort the government has done is subsidizing the production, not the consumption, the production of agricultural commodities. And it has already started getting positive results by what we are seeing at the moment. Currently, the prices of quite a number of commodities coming down. And this is something which is going to be maintained by the second year, third year. That's the time Kenyans will come to appreciate that indeed this government was doing the right thing for them.
All right.
In terms of education, so many milestones has been done in terms of education, in terms of security. You have seen what Professor Kidiki has done in the north, where the verdict was the order of the day. Today, people there are busy farming. There are no further verdict. It has been controlled. The government is very busy working on the security in the border of Somalia and Kenya, and the down coast also, where there are some issues to do with Al-Shabaab. And we have seen the effort which government is doing. So in terms of security, properly well taken care of. We have a guy who is very much in charge, Professor Kidiki. In terms of education, huge investment has been made, revolutionized the way the fees are going to be paid as far as the university education is done, taking care of our CBC curriculum. The other day we had a working party report which has proposed quite a number of things, well thought processes. You know, all these things are done at a very short period of time.
On a span of 1 to 10. 1 year down the line,
9 out of 10.
That's being so. Okay.
9 out of 10.
Justina, let's look at the positives, because a majority of people will always say this has not happened, this has not happened, this has not happened. But on this other end, I give Mheshimiwa that opportunity because he's a member of the Kenya Kwanza. He sits in Parliament where legislations take place. From your side, what are some of the hits that this government has so far achieved before we get to the misses?
Let me talk about education. The raft of new policies that are being brought up for, I think, debate in National Assembly. They're going to discuss, I think after the report they're going to discuss that. It's bringing a different aspect towards how we see education in this country. Something else that we've seen What else have I seen? Okay, the conversation about coffee and tea, though it's at times touches Mutu wa Masiwa, you know, you wonder, are you still going to do, are you working for the people or you're hitting back at Mutu wa Masiwa? Also the conversation about saying that this government is focusing on the economic development. They have realized that the voter has shifted from this politics of Sarakasi to seeing that Kenyans are questioning you about the finance bill, Kenyans are questioning you about the budget. So I think the moment they're opening themselves up to have a discussion, then it's a move in the right direction. Kenyans are in touch with what is happening. Yes.
Okay. What about some of the misses?
The misses, number one, they're always reminding us that money was carried during the Serikali of Handshake. They have never moved on from that. It's 1 year. They need to get over it. Another thing, the president said the other day that he realizes when he talks to his CSs and PSs, they have no clue about what is happening in their ministries. So it means 1 year on, we are wasting. Nothing has been done from that perspective. The CSS are not working. Something else is that they never listen to Kenyans when they talk during the finance bill. Many of the Kenyans were saying, it's not time for us, don't give us houses to sleep. We wanted industries.
Yes.
And then also on the debt, the Eurobond that is up for payment next year, I would like the president to be very truthful that the time Auditor General Ouko said that they're going to audit the Federal Reserve in the US, he was very keen to say that no money was lost. So he needs to know that Kenyans still believe that the debt issue came out from the Eurobond, where Kenyans never had that, or never felt that the money had reached the country. So he still has his hands dirty on that aspect. Kenyans are like, you know what, you and Uhuru Kenyatta at that time for the Eurobond, you had your bromance, you were friendly. So don't take the blame to that government. You're also part of the conversation. Yes.
What of devolution?
Devolution, having paid the monies that are required. He said that the budget he has no debt, he does not owe counties money, is a good thing, because counties are always complaining that their funding is being held back. Though I want to also encourage Kenyans, as you're having mandamanos about the national government, kindly also question your county governments. Or again, Kenyans are hypocritical. They draw the line. When it's questioning your tribe mates, you have a problem, but you're easily hitting stones at someone who's not your tribe mate. So if you want to see change in this country, we have to invest in truth, we have to invest in the process, by also questioning that person you perceive as your tribe mate.
Yes. You've raised a very salient point, because our first point of contact is the governors.
Yes.
But a majority of Kenyans will always come back to the executive and to the president, because we all know the buck stops with him, but governors play a pivotal role in the development of our devolution. Mheshimiwa, in terms of devolution, how has the Kenya Kwanza administration handled devolution, and even the governors, in terms of devolves units and governance?
The number of times the president are meeting with the council of governors, I think tomorrow will be the third time to try and synchronize the thinking of the governors and the thinking of the national government, because both the national government and the local, the county government, all of them are working for the same people, the people of the Republic of Kenya.
Yes.
And it is true, the president and now 2 meetings. Tomorrow it will be the third meeting with the Council of Governors, both governors from Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, because we are talking about fulfilling the promise he made to each and every Kenyan, whether you are in Mandera or in Ramu or in Siaya, you are part of this republic. And is committed to fulfilling those promises and implementing the manifesto. And he promised the Council of Governors that by the time we are going to the next financial year, that is year 2023-2024 financial year, he will not be having not even a single cent held by the national government that belong to the county government. And by the time we are closing the financial year 2022-2023, that was 30th of June this year, all the money that were pending for the county government, all of them were paid. They are all in county government coffers, as well as the CDF. At the moment, what is waiting to be done is a process of procurement, because also the process of procurement must be followed, so that now you start seeing the rollout of different projects across the counties and constituencies in the Republic of Kenya. And for the first time also, the month of July, the month of July, for the monies which are supposed to go to the county government for the first month of July, also all that money has been sent to the counties. So I think you cannot do better than that.
Okay.
You cannot do better than that. So the governors have no reason whatsoever not to implement the project they promised the people in their counties, because the president has done his part. And I think that is the most critical thing. He doesn't need to micromanage what is happening in those counties. The only thing we were asking the county governments in Stronghold of Azmio, please don't use Kenya money, taxpayers' money, to go and buy stones.
No.
To go and demonstrate.
That's our delegation, Mheshimiwa. How can to buy? Okay. Two-thirds gender rule, just know, it's still a hard nut to crack for so many years. I mean, even in Parliament, even the appointed positions, two-thirds gender rule is still a hard nut to crack. What is your assessment?
I think we need to also shift how we see women in politics. This conversation is coming 54 years after Grace Onyango went into parliament.
Yes.
What did Grace Onyango do better? She campaigned better. Of course, there's the issues of finances. But also the challenge comes in even the women in power. I'm a woman, but I can say this. They have not inspired the country or citizens to see why we need more women. Actually, I feel like Kenyans are complaining that when we have women in power, if there's a gender top-up, where is the salary coming from? What are they doing? What are they achieving? So I think it goes back to the women who are already in power. Kindly do a very good job so that you can inspire the ground that the next woman must be voted in. Of course, there's the issue of finances, but I think if we change our conversation from being politics of money to politics of delivery, then we'll not even have the issue of two-thirds gender and women top-up. Let the voters feel like, I'm voting for this woman because she has an idea, she's creative, she has a vision for this country. But having us being held by kiddie gloves, and it's been a conversation that we even hear women themselves in parliament, don't vote for this bill. So it goes to show that let us shift how we do things in this country as women. Let us start inspiring the voters to vote for more women so that we can have a level playing field. And again, when I say it's 54 years late, it is late because if Grace Onyango went to parliament then in 1969, then I think it's time for us to also sell ourselves from a perspective of, yes, we don't have money, but you have a vision for this country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa, because before you get there, the positions, the appointive slots, head of parastatals, boards and directors and what have you, are you satisfied to this end? Because from the appointed positions and all that.
Yeah, the president had said 50-50 of gender. I think he missed on that, though I can't blame him, because when you look at the way things are done, maybe less women, he never had a larger pool of women to pick from. Remember, he was limited to serikali ya shareholders.
Yes.
So if he had opened up for maybe women who were not supporting his government at the time, but now he realized this is time for delivery as the president of Kenya, he would have had a larger pool to achieve the 50-50. Yes.
Mheshimiwa Ruku, from that, one of the agenda of Kenya Kwanza for the bipartisan talk, there is that issue of two-thirds gender rule. Yes. If I read it, among the points. So what about it?
Yes, gender rule, two-thirds rule is one of the rules which is enshrined in our constitution. And therefore it is important to respect that, because we are committed as Kenya Kwanza administration to follow all the tenets of the constitution, the spirit and intent of the constitution, and that's why we are saying in the discussions, let's see how we can implement the two-thirds gender rule.
Why was it not implemented from the word-go during the formation of the government?
It was no, during if you look at the cabinet, we have a considerable number of
then
women.
Why now bring it during the bipartisan talk? What's so much about it?
It is not, the rule is not respected in Parliament. Parliament has not achieved the two-thirds gender rule.
Yes.
The number of women in Parliament, in the, whether Senate or National Assembly, it has not achieved the two-thirds gender rule. Actually, if someone else will go to court again, we will have the same process which was repeated the other day when Maraga was the Chief Justice. Okay, yes. He was supposed to advise the President to dissolve the Parliament because the Parliament has not met the constitutional requirement of two-thirds gender rule. And unfortunately, it is the people of the Republic of Kenya who fought. The people goes to Parliament.
Yes.
So how they don't vote the women, it's their wisdom.
So how will the 14-member committee of Azimio and Kenya Kwanza solve the 2000?
We can agree on affirmative action.
Yes.
And the reparate effort to ensure that is done, to ensure that is achieved. So how the mechanism of achieving that's what they need to discuss. And
you see, that's the reason I'm asking why the 2000 rule is still a hard nut to crack for Kenyans. I mean, why would Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, part of the agenda of the bipartisan talk, to be 2000 rule be part of the agenda to discuss? I mean, Kenya Kwanza in government, the president ought to have done everything.
We need to see women in positions of leadership, whether it is in cabinet or principal secretary or parastatals, in foreign embassies, ambassadors. We need to see them as members of parliament, as senators. We need to see them as governors. You know, for instance, at the moment, out of 47 governors we have, how many women are governors? I think there are
7.
Yes.
Seven, yes. Huh? It moved from 3 to 7.
There are 7. So what percentage is that? The 2/3, I mean 1/3 of 47 should be more than 10, isn't it?
Yes.
About
13.
About 13, 14. Yeah. Okay. So we are still not yet there.
In terms of elective positions.
Yes. You go to MCAs, the same. There are some counties where they elected 100% MCS. So
that must be Naivasha. We have got Naivasha or Nakuru. Yeah, we have got female leaders from top to bottom. Yes. Okay.
So how do we ensure this is done? So there must be a deliberate effort to make sure this is going to be done, because we need women. Because women are wired in a completely different way than how the men are wired.
So how is bipartisan talk going to solve that? That is my question.
That's what we
as
don't
part
know.
Of the agenda.
That's what we don't know. That's why it is there for them to discuss and tell Kenyans.
It was a proposal from Kenya Kwanza.
Yes. Because it's an issue. It's an issue.
Yes.
It's an issue of the constitution, such that we, as a people of the Republic of Kenya, we are not respecting this constitution in terms of to the gender rule. Yes. So we take this constitution as a supreme law of the land. It's a sacred document, and therefore we must have all necessary efforts to ensure all the tenets of the constitution are implemented by this government.
Okay. Justina, what do you make? Grace Onyango must not be so happy wherever she is.
She's not happy, but I think why is it part of the bipartisan? What I'm reading is part of horse trading. So Kenya Kwanza says, when we are coming to vote for 2/3, make sure that your people are on board.
Yes.
Remember, it has never achieved when it comes to voting on the floor of the House, it has never achieved the 2/3 that is required. So I think it's part of horse trading that if we give you this, and then you give us this. If we say that we want the office of the chief cabinet secretary to be anchored in law, Azimio will accept. So I think it's part of horse trading, though it goes back to the voters and us women in leadership. Why are people not voting us in? Those of us who have been given power, the nominated ones, I'm telling you, Kenyans really complain. They're like, we are paying you with our taxes, but you're not even delivering, you're not adding any value. So it also goes back to the women. What was the vision of Grace Onyango at that time? That women are part of this conversation. But let us earn it rightfully. Let us be different. Let us have a different conversation. Because even men compete for these seats. Many a times I tell women that a man, you'll even have more money than a man, but the man will be more confident in how he's delivering. So I think the kiddie glove issue, Kenyans have refused.
Yeah.
The MPs have refused to vote for it. Probably let's just go on the ground as women. Let's have a different arrangement. Let us show Kenyans that maybe 60 years after independence, men are now dressing in women clothes, making it look like it's a comedy. But the Kenyan man has been emasculated when even the men, they have been in power. So what does that say? It says it's time for women to have a different agenda in this country and to take this country in a different direction. Okay. So if we sell ourselves on the ground, Kenyans are not going to be bitter that their taxes are paying for women who are clueless about what is happening. And needless to us to say this, that if you look at Rwanda, they say that they have more women, but where is the impact? Remember, these women are just nominated by men. So whose brief are you holding? Are you holding the woman agenda brief or the men agenda brief? All we want is to see that the vision of this country, where we're supposed to be, where Singapore is, because you're always quoting, how are the women going to add value towards that journey, towards being a Singapore? So it is about how women sell themselves on the ground. Yes, we don't have money, but we have ideas.
Okay.
Yes.
We have money.
We don't have money.
We don't have ideas. Or we don't have money, but we have ideas.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Ruku, it will be unfair if I ask you On the national outlook, the people of Mbere, excuse me, the people of Mbere are watching. Mbere North are watching. 1 year down the line, what have you done for them?
We have tried to arrange quite a number of things. So far, we have and a very successful bursary process where we distributed the bursary to 10,163 students in secondary schools. Those bursaries is something which has never been done before in Mbere North. We ensured every student who applied in boarding secondary school got 8,000 Kenyan shilling, and those in day secondary school got 5,000 Kenyan shilling. It was a very innovative process, very well done, and it's something which has never happened in Mbere North. Number two, we have a bridge which was done within a record of 60 days.
Which is a well done job.
It's a very well done job. It's a bridge called Karerema Bridge, which just collapsed when we took office. We have done quite a number of roads in terms of maraming, about 8 roads, and we are going to start in 1.5 weeks from now to do Momenje, Gikuyari Momenje Kirie Ishiara Road. We have pushed for construction of Kamomo Dam. Kamomo Dam, yes.
Okay.
Is one of the dams which is top priority of the government, and a dam which is going to start this year. It involved a lot of roping from different corners and roping in quite a number of people in government to support that. That's also a major achievement. We have brought the people of Mbere together. We have started, we launched in a Chicago Momenje water project with the Minister of Water. It's a project which is going to solve water problem within Dawa ward and the upper part of Momenje ward. We have sponsored a number of students who are very vulnerable.
What about primary healthcare?
About primary healthcare, it's a function of the county government, which we really don't want to get our hands, our noses there, because the moment you do that, you'll be accused of interfering with the county government issues. And you know, politics are very sensitive thing. You know, you have to manage it in a very proper way. Sorry, we have said what? You have asked?
Renovation of schools and...
no, renovation of schools has not yet started because the amount of money we got first once we get into the office was for bursaries only. We're now, by July, end of July, we have all the money for development, but now we have to get the procurement process right. We have advertised for tenders, which is crossing on 14th of August this month. So we expect to start rolling out the project by the month of October.
Yes.
After the tender process has been done, 14, we do the evaluations. Then now we start awarding different primary schools. We are going to start with renovations of a number of primary schools, and it's total renovation,
a lot of work for you.
Facelift of our schools because we are in a very dilapidated situation, majority of them. We have supported different church functions because you have to be together with the people. And of course, we respect the church, and the church is a very critical
I just hope the people of Mbere North, at the end of the day, because we'll be here again, same time next year, God willing.
Yes.
We'll take stock of what you've done because they've given you a 5-year contract so that you can do something for them.
And also very important, we started Fair Crime Network to mainstream Fair Crime Network Mbere, to mainstream all our programs. We had seasonally farmed sorghum as a drought-resistant crop for climate resilient issues. We have done 2 bows already in a ward called Momenje. All those bows were supported by EABL, our partnership with EABL. The bows are were equipped with solar and steel tanks.
All right.
We are doing another bowl next week in another village. So we have quite a number of projects which
I wish I was in your constituency. There must be a lot of things happening in the constituency, Mheshimiwa. I'm told we are running out of time. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I have an apology from Charles Ngusia, Member of Parliament, Mwingi West, who I told you had to rush back to the constituency because of an emergency, and Zulekha Harun, who is nominated Member of Parliament under UDM, who is also gotten
and maybe just to mention, because the time is running out, today we are concluding education days in 5 zones of Beira North constituency. So that because education must be the cash crop
education is
of
the
people of Beira North.
Okay.
So the performance, we are really working on it to ensure the academic performance of the schools.
I've hosted you several times, Mheshimiwa, and I can attest that Beira North, if I were a voter, I would have voted you back. But hey.
Thank you.
But do we need the bursary? Sometimes they're given to cronies. But anyway.
Okay. I can't have 10,163 cronies.
Thank you so much for joining us. Just know thank you so much. And Mheshimiwa Godfrey Ruku, Member of Parliament, Beira North. Asante sana for being part of the show. We'll take a break. GMK continues after this. I think I should be a voter in Beira North, Mheshimiwa.
Please do.
This election, I will.
You have a right to vote in any corner of the country. You just need to change your vote and you vote in Beira North. It's not a crime.
Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talent,
the Grapevine cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
Niangalie. Unajua ile inzi kubwa ya choo.
Basi unahitaji upatiwe kongole kwa kazi nzuri ya leo.
Umepita bahali ufanye kupita sasa. Uko serious?
Si unanijua mimi kila siku hapa.
Aki,
Anchome.
Na hicho yote.
Nitashukuru sana.
Okay.
Wewe uchaba.
Wewe ni nini wewe?
Unaenda wapi?
Unaniumiza mkono na hii rungu yako. Soma hapa.
Chuchuishi.
Si? Sikiza Chemasunde. Ni either uende ukafanywe inspection, na ukishindwa basi hiyo mlango ya gate Chemasunde itabidi utoke nayo.
Toa hiyo kitu umeweka kwa macho. Na ni sensi ya Mungu.
The first person to change the Kikuyu music was Gachungi Meziri. He had recorded some recordings which were called Columbia, the first Kikuyu recording music.
Muge the artists have been exploited, so the argument continues, because they were hired and paid a take-it-or-leave-it one-time settlement. Be that as it may, this constricted underground activity in rural and urban areas lent itself more to solo performances by men returning from the Second World War, armed with accordions and guitars.
Welcome back. Good morning continues. My name is Vivian Ndegwa. Now, every 12th of August, we get to celebrate International Youth Day. And in line with that, today on Transformative Leaders, I am joined by Mr. Samuel, who is the Senior Program Officer for Grassroots Nest for Innovations and Change, abbreviated as Greek. And together with him is Elizabeth Shonko, who is an alumni of the same leadership program, Greek, and she is passionate about the girl child. Together with her as well is Collins Mwakata, an alumni as well of Greek, and he is a programs lead at Footprints for Change. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Doing great.
It's a chilly morning, but I can see all of you came prepared. You have your coats on.
Absolutely.
All right, if you can get to begin with the importance of grassroots initiatives. Mr. Samuel, maybe you can take that.
Thank you, and thank you for having us this morning.
You're welcome.
As an organization, Greek, as you rightfully abbreviated, believes in development that starts from the grassroots. That's the name. And why? We so passionately believe in the skills that are in the communities. We don't believe in importing skills into the communities, but into changing the skills that are in the community into usable skills. So we strongly believe as an organization that there's enough skills in the community. All that is required is to change them into usable skills through training, through mentorship, and through collaborative networks. Yeah.
And maybe what drove you into wanting to create change in your community? I believe this is a question that each one of you can take, but we can just begin with you as well, Mr. Samuel.
Out of lived experiences. I grew up in one of these informal urban settlements, so I had a first-hand experience of what happens in those communities. So my desire to commit to transform the communities came from my own lived experiences, because of the belief that I see in the changes that happens at that level.
How about you, Liz?
Okay, not far from him. Just the only difference is that we come from different places, because I grew up in a village setting. So seeing all the, maybe I can call them the injustice in the community towards the women and the girls, maybe that arose a need in me, maybe to advocate for their rights or to sensitize them, for them to know more about their rights and to be aware of them.
Collins?
Okay, having been born and grown in Nairobi Eastlands, there are certain injustices that we experience every day. So it drove me to want to change what I see every day in the community. So yeah, that's what drove me.
Maybe what are some of the involvements that you would urge the youth to get into?
Okay, many youths don't want to volunteer because maybe there's no payments, there's nothing, there's no financial gains.
But through volunteering, like you get to meet people in the same career path that you're pursuing. Through volunteering, it gives you some certain, you get to know your purpose, your why. Why are you in this world? Why are you fighting for certain changes? Yeah.
So you're asking the youth to volunteer. You know, someone may be watching us from home and they wonder, why volunteer? You know, I mean, I'm educated. I need to get a job where I'm getting paid. So why should I go ahead and just volunteer and not get anything out of it monetary-wise?
Okay, for me personally, I was employed professionally. I'm an IT support engineer. So during COVID, I lost my job. And then I started a business. But now it wasn't fulfilling. So I joined the Greek fellowship, and I believe it gave me some purpose in this life. You know, other than just making money, you feel you're doing some real change to the community, and it's fulfilling.
Have you maybe taken up any volunteer jobs, Liz?
Yes, I did. Before I got a job, just immediately after I graduated from campus, I was volunteering in a children's home. Because I generally just love kids and what. So I didn't have a job at that time. So I was trying to compare between staying at home and volunteering. And I think volunteering is so much better because it will open much opportunity for you. So yes, I did. I volunteer not only in that children's home, but in a certain NGO too.
Okay. Yeah. And what message are you pushing yourself as Liz in line with this year's International Youth Day?
Okay, maybe I have a message to the youth and also to the government at large. Maybe for the youth, I can tell them to avail themselves. Because we love maybe being, can you say, behind the closed doors. We are just there chat. We don't want to go there and look for the opportunity. So let's get out. Let's fight for our rights. Yeah, let's fight for our rights. And I'm sure wherever we want to go or wherever we want this country to be in some years to come, it shall come to pass. But it will not come to pass if we just sit behind the closed door. And for the government, I urge the government, all the stakeholders, to give the youth the opportunity, because most of them don't have that opportunity.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Samuel, now that Liz has touched on the government and stakeholders, what are they not doing just yet to ensure that they propel the Kenyan youth?
Great. I think I'll start by the government, because I mean that's where the buck stops, so to speak. I see the government as the coordinating body for all the efforts that are happening in the youth space. So one role the government should do is to coordinate these efforts in a congruent way, so that whatever all these organizations are doing are coordinated for coordinated impact. So the government has a role to play in ensuring coordination of activities, and as Liz said, I think the government has a huge role in availing these opportunities for these young people. They are passionate, they are skilled, they are resourceful, but then they lack the opportunities. So the government has a role to play to expand the opportunity, or to expand the basket, so to speak. Stakeholders are to stop working in silos. We are all for youth development. What Greek does, what Organization Next does, are all for Greek development. So my clarion call to the stakeholders is, let's stop working in silos, let's come together, let's synergize, and ultimately it's for the young people to thrive in these societies.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe Collins, you can touch a bit about the organization that you are in. You are an alumni of Greek, but you also have another organization that you are in by the name Footprints for Change.
Yes.
What is it all about?
Okay, Footprints for Change is a youth-led, youth-serving organization. We are based at Mathare slums. Our core function is youth, peace and security. So in Mathare, in Footprints, we have different programs. We have a program called Elimisha Vizazi. It tries to reach out to the teenage moms and maybe link them to job opportunities, link them to mentors. We have also another program which I'm in charge of. It's called Urban Legends. Urban Legends focuses on sports. you know, it's easy to access youth through different sports that they love. So doing different events, we reach out to the youth. I think it's easy to get a young man playing football, and then you bring the topic of change, the topic of peace, security. Yeah.
Okay, great initiative right there. Maybe this question will go to you, Liz. What role does the youth have in working towards ensuring that we have a peaceful and brighter future?
Okay, I think the youth have a number of roles, so maybe you can just tackle like 2 or 3. Yes, the number 1 role is to what their availability. We have to avail ourselves. Like there's the famous phrase that the youth are the untapped resource, mostly in Africa. So we have to avail ourselves for maybe even for the government to use it or to create the opportunities for us. And then another role that the youth have is, okay, maybe I can say that one for now.
Okay, maybe you may add on to that?
Sure. How we perceive young people is, as Liz was alluding to, is this untapped resource, skilled, energetic, ready to go, but then they're largely underutilized. So they need to avail themselves. But also I think the youth needs to be very intentional about development. You know, instead of spending days and hours in places where they game, you know, how can they use the skill sets that they have to start change? Change cannot start at the top. It must start at the bottom. And the youth have the skills, they have the energy, they have the resources, they're just not getting out there enough. So the youth have a responsibility to come out and claim the space.
So you say that the youth, rather them as a resource and them being untapped is on them? It's really entirely on the youth?
Not really entirely on the youth, but they have a role to play. Because you cannot be tapped if you're not in a space where you are tappable, if there's an English word like that. You must be in a space where you must come out for you to be tapped. So the government has a role to play to avail the opportunities, but the youth themselves have a role to play. When you call for, I have no issues with politics, I love politics, yeah? When you call for a political rally, you'll have thousands of young people come through. But when you call for a development initiative, volunteering, how many young people will come through? So that is what I'm telling the youth to come. The way you come out to cheer politicians and all those things, can you come out to rise up for your communities?
Yeah. And where do they avail themselves for such initiatives? Maybe there's someone who's watching and they have no idea where they would, avail themselves for such opportunities. Absolutely, great question. And I'll use the lady and the gentleman as examples. It took Collins to come out to go and knock at Footprints for Change and ask for an opportunity. It took Liz to go to JWEP and ask for an opportunity. It took myself in my formative years to go to Children's Home and ask for an opportunity. They are there, but they don't look for you. You have to identify them and go knock those doors. So what the agenda I'm pushing is let the youth come out. The same way you come out for political rallies and sports, come out for development. Maybe still on that, Collins, maybe you may take this. Why is it important for the youth to take charge and take up such pivotal roles, in their communities?
I think youth don't know the power that they have, because if you look at the previous political environment, anytime the political divide has an issue, they go back to the youth to sell their agendas. But anytime, for now, there are bipartisan talks going on. There are no bipartisan talks between the youth who are throwing stones. There's no bipartisan talks between the business community and the youth who destroyed the businesses. There's no bipartisan talks between the police and the youth. So youth need to know that we are the main actors in this scene.
And what does it take for that youth who's at home and unemployed and is not volunteering anywhere to be able to say no to being used in the things that you've just mentioned?
I think it's a collective effort, because the main challenge is unemployment. You know, once you're unemployed, you're exposed to so many vices in the community. Like, I believe if you're employed, you have no time to go to any man-to-mano. But maybe I can just add on, when, for example, there are mandamanos, and the leaders tell us to remain at home, do your work, they forget that in these communities, youth are unemployed. They don't have anything to do. So I believe the youth should realize that they're the main actors, and they can do it.
Okay. Mr. Collins, kindly let me in on the program that you run. That is Greek, which is a 6-month program. If you can just take me through what you do in the program.
Thank you very much. This is a 6-month youth leadership training program. And what we do is, it's an East African youth leadership program, bringing young people from Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania into a 6-month program with bi-monthly virtual training sessions. But all the young people we work with are aligned to grassroots organizations. So there is the theory and experiential learning. Whatever you learn, you practice it. And it's also anchoring these young people into their communities and giving them the power that Collins used to, showing them that you can do it. So we train them on how to do it and then show them how to do it. All the young people we have, currently we have a cohort of 75 from Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. All of them have mentors. So there's a very active mentorship process that goes on in the space. So it's theory, practice, mentorship into changing the youth landscape. Yeah.
What exactly do they do? Like you mentioned, they're being taught, there's the theory bit and there's also the practical bit that they learn. About what exactly?
Very good. So the theory is we call it in-out. We start with the young person in themselves, knowing yourself, mental health. Then we go to the skills that you require to work in communities, project planning and management, entrepreneurship, networking. So it is these skill sets that the young person needs themselves and to serve their communities. So it is very well curated to serve the needs of the young person in East Africa.
Yeah. Liz, you are an alumni
of
that particular initiative, Greek.
Yeah.
How effective would you say it has been for you? And what have you learned from the program?
Okay, I can say I have learned a lot in that period of 6 months. And the knowledge, we are being told that knowledge is power.
Yes.
And when you have that knowledge, you have the power and the confidence to speak to the people or to your community. Yeah, so I can say it has been very helpful to me. The skills I'm using at the moment, maybe to teach or to transfer to the people, to the youth that I'm working with. That is the knowledge that I got from Greek. Maybe he touched something on the mental issue. Yeah, that's something that's even affecting even people in the village. Because about maybe the previous years, tunajua those are the things of the city, but even the village, people are suffering from mental issues. And by having that knowledge or by having that power, I'm able I'm not a medical or whatever, but at least I'm able to identify and direct them to the right channels.
Okay. What would you love to share from the program, Collins, as we wind up?
Maybe I can encourage more youth to get involved, get out of your comfort zone, and try and volunteer. I think also for the government, I think the government should reach out to the grassroots organizations, because I believe that's where the real issues are. I think we can collaborate with the government, different organizations, and try and bring real change to the community.
Yeah. There's something I really want us to touch on before we run out of time, and that is the issue, or rather the topic of mentors that you touched a bit on, Samuel. And I believe, Collins, Samuel was your mentor.
Yeah,
just how important is it for someone to have a mentor?
Growing up, I always believed that a mentor is someone famous. I think different people have famous mentors. But personally, I think a mentor should be someone who you can relate to. You can see the day-to-day activities, how they handle different scenarios in life. And Sam has been a great mentor because I believe we come from almost the same setup, Nairobi, Eastlands. And me seeing Sam doing it, it inspired me to continue with the work that we do, because it's not easy work. Sometimes you might want to quit, but if you have a strong mentor, it helps you to grow in different sectors of your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, we'll take a very short break. Don't you go too far. We'll be back continuing with this conversation as we wind up on it.
Niangalie. Unajua ile inzi kubwa ya choo?
Basi unahitaji upatiwe kongole kwa kazi nzuri ya leo.
Umepita bahali ufanye kupita sasa. Uko Syria?
Si unanijua mimi kila siku hapa?
Aki,
Hanchome.
Na hicho yote.
Nitashukuru sana.
Okay.
Wewe uchaba.
Wewe ni nini?
Unaenda wapi?
Unaniumiza mkono na hii rungu yako. Soma hapa.
Chuchuishi.
Si? Sikiza Chemasunde. Ni aidha uende ukafanywe inspection, na ukishindwa basi hiyo mlango ya geti Chemasunde itabidi utoke nayo.
Toa hiyo kitu umeweka kwa macho. Na ni sensi ya Mungu.
The first person to change the Kikuyu music was Gachungi Medhiri. He had recorded some recordings which were called Columbia, the first Kikuyu recording music.
Muge the artists have been exploited, so the argument continues, because they were hired and paid a take-it-or-leave-it one-time settlement. Be that as it may, this constricted underground activity in rural and urban areas lent itself more to solo performances by men returning from the Second World War, armed with accordions and guitars.
Welcome back. Now, just to let you know, we know that the president is in Nyeri County, and any minute from now, he should be launching the Ishamara Rutune Road at Kirara Primary School in Mukurweine constituency. So any minute from now, we should be headed there. But before we go to that launch, we continue with our conversation here. And Collins, you had just touched on the importance of one having a mentor. And now I want Samuel to talk about that as the mentor. What is the role? What is your role as a mentor?
Thank you. It's great seeing Collins, thrive, so it shows mentorship works. My role is to unhold and pave the way for my mentee. But it's not a one-way sort of engagement. In working with Collins, for example, I learned a lot, and I encourage other mentors not to go into the mentorship process thinking you know it all. Go into it as a learning experience. So my role is to pave the way. My role is to, guide effectively, learning from, making him not make the same mistakes I made, but also very intentionally chart a way forward for him. You know, it's a very personal relationship. And I like what Colin says. You know, growing up myself, my mentors in my mind were big people, but mentors don't need to be big. They can be as small as they are, as long as they have the same values, the same alignment, and have the same purpose as you. So the role is basically to pave the way and hold and guide.
Yeah.
And it's a lifelong process. You know, it doesn't end at the end of the fellowship. We are still together as much as we graduated.
Yeah. I think people confuse mentors and role models.
Absolutely.
Is there a difference between the two, and what is the difference really?
Very good question, and there's a lot of confusion about that. A mentor is this person who is very intentional with the relationship you have with them. You know, for example, a famous musician cannot be your mentor if you don't have a personal relationship with them. But they can be a role model because they espouse the same values that you espouse. So a mentor can or cannot be a role model, but a role model may not be a mentor. Hope I've not confused our viewers further. So a role model is the intentionality of the relationship and the alignment in purpose. I mean the mentor, but a role model could be anybody who share the same values as you, who you like, who you want to be. But a mentor is the intentionality of the relationship that you have with your mentee.
Yeah. So a mentor should be someone that you have a personal relationship with, that you get to interact with.
Absolutely.
Okay.
At times we even cry together.
Have you had moments where you cried together?
Both of us come from the east side, and we're known to be tough. But at times you have to, you know, at times when the things are too tough, I'll allow him to cry, then I'll cry behind the doors so that he doesn't see me crying. But the issues can be as heavy that requires both of you to cry at times.
Maybe Liz, you can also get into this topic of mentorship. You also had a mentor on the program, and what did you learn from your mentor?
Okay, yes, I did. I had one. Okay, a mentor for me is my point of reference, and every time I have something that I needed or something that I was not sure about, I always ran to my mentor, and she was so much gracious to me. She led me through the way. You know, I came to I think we were the second cohort, so much was not clear on our side, but the mentors help us navigate the way.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Maybe to you, Samuel. Let me speak for someone who's watching us back at home. They would love to have a mentor. They don't have any. They've had the importance of having one. How do you pick a mentor?
The first thing is the alignment in values. Don't go for somebody who doesn't align in your values. That will be the most important thing. At Greek, for example, we have so many young people, but I pick the same people who we align in values. So alignment in values is key. To look for somebody who's available. Mentorship, it requires investment in time. I cannot be your mentor if I'm only available once a month. So availability is very important. And this person should be in the journey that you want to walk, should have walked the journey that you want to walk. You know, the thing about the shoe pinching the wearer. So 1, alignment in values. 2, availability. And 3, is it the person who wants to get you where you want to get, wherever you want to go. So I think those are the 3 key things I can say for now. But most important is the values, alignment in values. That will be the top of it.
I get that. Liz, you've interacted with many youth, you know, in your day-to-day, and also as you work with a girl child. What would you say are some of the challenges that you can point out for us that they face?
Okay, maybe the number one challenge is the one we are just talking, lack of mentors or lack of mentees. So that is one big challenge that we are facing. So the youth are just going in the dark forest alone. No one is guiding them, no one is encouraging them, maybe during their tough moments. Another one is mental issues. We are told the 21st century youth, that is the biggest challenge that they are facing. I still don't know the cause. Maybe I'll do a little research on that. So mental issue is another challenge. And you can also say that, yes, lack of opportunities. Yeah, they're not given lack of opportunities. Like there's something that Collins said before, that let's say, for example, the issue of the bipartisan, the youth are nowhere in the picture. So they are not given opportunity to express themselves or to bring anything on the table.
There's the issue of mental health that you've touched on. You've mentioned while passing, and Samuel also mentioned it as well. I think we should get into that just a bit. Collins, especially for young men.
Okay.
You know, they find it difficult for them to come out and speak about, you know, their mental health. You know, they feel like I won't be seen as man enough if I come out crying and talking about sijui nasumbuliwa na nini and all that. What would you say to the young man watching on matters mental health and how important it is for one to just speak up?
I believe that the topic of mental health, some youth from where I'm from, if you talk about mental health, they think it's someone in Madari mental health. But it's just simple lifestyle decisions that we make. So as much as men we are tough, you need to find someone who you can share with. It can be a friend, it can be a brother, it can be just anyone who you're comfortable with. Because as men, we don't love sharing our issues. So yeah, we shouldn't run into drugs and maybe alcohol, hiding away from the small issues. Mental health, it's nothing big. It can be you lost your job, you lost a friend, but you don't know how to deal with that. So I encourage young men to talk. Just find someone to talk to.
Okay. In the program, Samuel, on matters mental health, is this something you like talk to them about and ask them to, speak up? And just how effective has that been in the program?
Sure. It's the first session. After orientation, the first session is on mental health.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
The first one. Because we know we are bringing in young people who could be having issues, and as Colin says, it's something small that grows into a big thing. So after that, we have a standby psychiatrist who they can talk to without coming through Greek. So they have a one-on-one contact with that person. So we are aware and very intentional about supporting them. So in addition to making them speak out, telling them to come out and speak, we have this resource that they can go to for the entire period of their stay in the fellowship and even beyond. So we have a standby psychiatrist, and it's been very effective. It's the diversity of needs are there. So I don't think for us, we cannot run a program without mental health issues. Anything on the youth has to have a mental health component.
Okay.
Must.
How does one join Greek?
So there's an application process which just closed on the 28th of this past month. And I can tell you something for free. Young people yearning for opportunities. We had 894 applications from East Africa, and we can only take 75.
894?
894.
Okay.
Minus the ones who are getting direct referrals from the partners we work with in the grassroots. So young people are looking for opportunities. So there's an application process. You go through a 3-step interview, because we want you to align with what you believe in. We want to see your commitment, dedication, because it's a rigorous process. So watch out on our social media pages, on our website. There's always an application process. The next one will come in around November. Please apply and join. It will be
Clearly,
helpful.
we need more of such programs, because if you had 800 and you said 95?
894.
894 applicants, and you can only accommodate 75. So where do the rest go? Where do the rest 800 plus go,
That is one thing that keeps us awake at night. Because we ran 2 cohorts, 75, so only a maximum of 150. In the first cohort, we had even more applicants, close to 1,000. So in the 2 cohorts, we've had close to 2,000 applicants. We can only take 150, so where do the rest go? And that's where the government comes in. That's where the other partners come in to support in this course. The young people are coming out to take these opportunities, but how many people are willing to handhold them and show them the way?
Okay, as we wind up with this conversation, the theme for this year, the International Youth Day, theme is Green Skills for Youth. Green Skills for Youth towards a sustainable world. If you can kindly just get into that and talk to us about that.
How timely, how timely. I think when I saw this theme for this year's International Youth Day, I was like, this is the right time to do it. And it doesn't need to be big interventions. Young people, if you can all just plant 1 tree. If anybody listening to me as a young person below the age of 35 can plant 1 tree, and we're telling our fellows, the people who work with that, they must plant a tree and do it in the 6 months. So if all the young people will plant just 1 tree and take care of it, there's the environment aspect, but you're also building your skills around nurturing things and being intentional about supporting things. So what I can say, this is timely, and I challenge the young people. You have the skills, you have the time, you have the resources, plant a tree. Each young person 1 tree, starting with us here.
Yeah, we start by planting a tree. And what are maybe some of the other skills that are needed to reduce this, environmental pollution and all that in line with the theme for this year? Maybe Collins?
Okay.
Skills that you would advise the youth to take up?
I think we need to start from the lower, like the young children. Because I was talking to a friend and then I said every year we have cleanups in Mathare. We have like 10 or 20 cleanups in Mathare. Like, why don't we educate the people on the importance of keeping our environment clean instead of coming up with short-term plans to take care of the environment.
Sure. Maybe if I may, it's the environment is a skills issue and a behavior issue. And why is a young person littering, for example? As Collins rightfully puts it, if we avoid the problem, then we don't need to reverse the problem. So some of the skills are just around behavior, basic behavior. Don't litter, or litter at the right places, and clean up after yourself. Those small things where you throw things everywhere? Imagine if we didn't do it as young people. And the young people are the largest majority in this population. So there's a skills issue, but there's also a behavior and attitude issue with the young people. And I think we need to come out and confront young people with these facts.
Okay. Yeah. What should be done to ensure that we are creating a regional movement of youthful grassroots champions?
Let the youth take lead. Be at the back. Cheer them. Show them the way. Mentor them. I really believe in the power of young people. I've seen it work in my eyes. So let's be at the back. Let's cheer them. Let's show them the way. Let's network them. And let us allow them to take charge of the agenda. This thing of being young until you're 50 years must stop. We must allow the real young people to take charge of the youth agenda. Our role as we exit the youth platform is to now show them the way, bring them together, network them, but allow them to take charge of their destiny. Continually coming in to check in if they're in the right path, but allowing them to take leadership and run with it. They can do it. They've done it before. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just mentioned letting 50-year-olds, still referring to themselves as the youth. And actually, the UN defines the youth as someone between, or rather people between the ages of 15 and 24. I thought it is until 35.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened?
I think the youth space is becoming smaller, and it should be, because we need to run away from, 60-year-olds calling themselves young. But I think it's a realization that there's a lot of skills in that age bracket. And the initial definition was a bit expanded to 35 years, but we are realizing as time goes by there's a lot of skill sets in that age group, a lot of talents that can still get the same value as a 35-year-old, for example. So I love that definition, and I strongly believe that we should adhere to that definition. And as Greek, we can only stretch it to 28.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can only stretch it to 28. And we've seen them do amazing things. So this, us who are exiting the youth stage, we need to leave the youth, be the youth. We are no longer youth. Let Collins, let Liz take charge of processes. Our role is to go to the back, cheer them, support them, guide them, come in to check in with them, but allow them to take charge. We cannot be youth forever. We cannot.
The 15 to 24, I'm still on that, because I'm like, do you mean to tell me I am not a youth? I refer to myself as a youth. Liz, you work with young girls.
Yes.
If you could just let us in on that. What do you do with the young girls or for the young girls?
Okay, what we do in our CBO, first we sensitize them, create awareness, especially on their rights. And the number one right is the right to education. I was telling my Collins when we are coming, that is in my village, those girls even don't know their rights. They don't even know that they have a right to go to school. So we are really advocating for that. For the vulnerable one, we are trying to link them with the sponsors for them to go to school, the sponsors to pay fees for them. And maybe for the teen moms, we are not encouraging them, we are not encouraging that, but if you have a kid, there's a way maybe the kid can be taken care of, and then you go to school. Then we have also some motivational talks, because those girls go through a lot, even in the village. So we are trying to create awareness, and Yeah, just to make them realize who they are and to build confidence on them.
Yeah, you've touched on something to do with teen moms.
Yeah.
And sometimes some people may be skeptical on supporting teen moms because maybe they may say you are kind of like encouraging more young girls to get pregnant. But just how important is it to support them? Because, well, they are already in this condition, so what to do now?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I think every person in this world needs a second chance, third or even fourth. So it is important because I've seen maybe two groups of people, those who are given another chance and those who are married off. And 5-10 years down the line, there's a big difference in that because maybe this girl is graduating and the one who was married off has around 2-3 kids. So you weigh the two, of course, the other one has more advantage on that. So it is very important. We are not encouraging them, but if they fail, you can pick up. Yeah.
Mr. Samuel mentioned that we should let the youth take up space. Maybe for you as Collins, how should they let you take up space as a youth?
First of all, is allowing us to participate in the leadership. I think for the longest time, the youth are just used to support other people and their interests. I think for Greek, they are allowing us to participate in leadership because after graduating, that's when I started working with Footprints for Change. And through the program, the skills that I learned, I got a programs lead position at Footprints. And I believe many people are doing the right thing to allow youth into that space. So I believe different actors should collaborate more and support the youth. Yeah.
You just touched on Footprints that we had talked about just before. Okay. And Greek is already full. They have 75 that they can handle.
Okay.
So what about Footprints? Do you have space maybe, and how can one join?
Yeah, we have space, but the challenge is, as Sam said, we can't come for you. Like, you have to go out there and look for these opportunities. For example, if I just decided to sit at home, I wouldn't have known about Greek. As much as the young people, we blame the government, we blame everyone, but you don't take the responsibility to look for opportunities because there are so many opportunities. At Footprints, we have volunteering opportunities because we are very active at Mathare. So if you're a young person, you can go to our website, footprintsforchange.org. And you can also find us on social media, Footprints for Change, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Footprints for Change.
So you only take up, have space for the youth in Mathare?
Not really in Mathare because I don't stay in Mathare, but I'm working at Footprints. So any youth who can comfortably be at Mathare should apply.
Yeah. Samuel, as we finish up, are we ready to let the youth take charge?
We are ready. And speaking on behalf of my organization, we are very ready to let the youth take charge. And in leadership, in decision, leadership can be cosmetic, but we want the young people to be at the forefront of decision making, not just leadership for the sake of it, but they should make decisions. So we are ready, but there's this mistrust between generations, where the young people feel like, the old people feel like, we know a lot, the young people feel, so we need to break the mistrust, this ceiling. But it has to be very intentional. It cannot be on paper. Let them take leadership, but most importantly, let them make decisions about what concerns them.
Okay. Yeah. Your message to the youth as we get ready, in preparation for the celebration on the 12th.
Come out, be bold, be intentional, get out of your comfort zone. There are opportunities, but nobody will come for you. Be ready to fail, but fail forward. You will fail for sure. But if Collins never came twice, thrice, if Liz never came twice, thrice, they will not be here in this conversation. Come out, be bold, be intentional, be ready to fail. But whenever you fail, fail forward.
Yeah. Collins, your message to the youth?
My message is, there's this, I don't know if it's famous, there's a quote that says, the ghetto is a prison with invisible walls. So
I love that. Could you please say that again? I need to write that one. I don't know it.
The ghetto is a prison with invisible walls. So the youth need to know that there are so many opportunities outside that place that they are in. Like Sam said, just come out. You'll meet people who are willing to assist you. And
Yeah. Your message.
Okay, my message and my final words to the youth is use whatever you have in your hands. I remember just after graduating in campus, my dream job was to work in the UN, to work I don't know where. And I forgot all the CBOs in my village, and that is where I am today. So wherever you are, whatever you have, start there.
I was winding up, but there's something you mentioned, the fact that we as the youth want a specific kind of job. I want to be employed by the UN.
True.
Could you please talk on that mentality and try to let them know that, you don't really need to work, maybe at a specific place, at a particular place, that you shut your eyes from seeing other opportunities that could be available.
Very, very true and spot on from Liz. Young people have this frame of what they need to be. Driving this car, working for this job, married to this ex-person. So I will just echo what Lisa said. Start with what you have, start where you are. These opportunities will come, but they don't come if you don't have the experience, you don't have the networks, you don't have the... And let's be honest, a lot of jobs now are about networks. If somebody is looking for a young person right now, it's easy for me to define the person I've worked with more than any other person I know. But if they didn't come out and started with the CBOs that they worked with, because Greek worked with CBOs, 26 of them across East Africa. If they didn't start with the CBOs, I wouldn't have known them. So start with what you have. I remember when job opportunities open up at Greek, you see somebody straight from the university applying for a senior manager, and they, I like the boldness. I like the boldness that they come with, but honestly, you've just graduated 2022. And this thing calls for 10-year experience, and they put in the application. That is bold, but will that get you where you are? Maybe start as a fellow, build your skills, get networked. You'll get there. Ultimately, you'll get there. It's step by step, step by step. And I think a lot of that also contributes to mental health, because when you miss some of these opportunities, you get into spaces that you should not get into. So take it a step at a time. You will get there, for sure. Yeah.
Boldness, as you've said, is a good character.
Absolutely.
It's a good character. So let them not shy away from trying those senior positions. But try look at your experience level.
And imagine if now Liz, with the CBO, the experience she's had at the CBO, now puts in a proper application. Somebody look at it. So let them apply. If they call for an executive director at Greek, please apply as a young person. But also know that you need to start somewhere. And start from where you are.
Okay. There are quotes that people live by. Do you have any that you would love to share with the people? Either a quote or a word that you live by. Collins? Okay, Liz, you may go first as Collins thinks about it. Or Collins, you okay?
Okay, I think the key thing is let's have empathy. Because maybe you've not grown in these informal settlements, so you can't, if you don't have empathy, you can't relate to what these people are going through. You might see someone drunk, you just assume they're just drunk because they love alcohol. So for me, I think empathy is the key thing to have.
Okay. Would you live by?
Okay, maybe I can repeat a phrase that I was told by my mentor, that leadership, or we are all leaders, but leadership is built. So we have to equip ourselves every day, through maybe acquiring more skills and knowledge. You can't just sit there and expect to be someone tomorrow. You have to equip yourself today. Yeah, so it's done by that.
That's a good one. How about you, Samuel?
Fail forward. Don't be afraid to fail, but when you fail forward, pick yourself, dust yourself up, move on.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. I believe it was a good one. I believe that as the youth out there, you have learned a thing or two. Myself, I have learned a new one. That is, the ghetto is a prison with invisible walls. So just use whatever you have. Start with what you have. Build character, and you will be good to go. And do not shy away from asking for opportunities. Go out there, look for initiatives that are out there. Try volunteer. You don't need to make money out of something. You can learn so much just from being a volunteer at an initiative. You know, you get to interact with other people. You get to pick their minds on one or two things, and it helps you in improving yourself as a person. This is where we finish up with this conversation. Thank you so much for tuning in to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Vivian Ndegwa, and I will see you same time tomorrow. See you.
Coming soon on KBC. What's in Your Kitchen? A show that celebrates Kenyan and African dishes.
Rusha. Wait. Be careful. Yes, because I've seen some fire jump there. That is called flambéing. Flambéing. So tukiona moto tujue ni flambéing. Crushed methi seeds. Kila siku soma kitu mpya. Mchele yetu iko sawa. Hii iko sawa. Tumalize sasa ni kwenda tukule.
Hii ni chakula mzuri sana.
Nzito kabisa.
Salivate this delicious meal on your screen while taking notes for the recipe. Don't miss What's in Your Kitchen, coming soon on KBC. Every Monday evening, we take you back where the action happened live. We let you know what you missed, even if you were present.
And our goal is to continue supporting our own.
From the latest celebrity buzz,
fashion,
music,
and all manner of youth talents,
Sigwepa and cameras rove all week to bring you the latest in the enormous entertainment scene.
Watch Grapevine every Monday at 10 p.m. and the rerun on Tuesday at 2 p.m. only on KBC Channel 1, baby.
Engage us on Facebook and Twitter, #Grapevine on KBC. Let us know what is happening in your area code, because you know what they say, if you did not see it on Grapevine,
then it most probably never happened. Bah!
Ain't nobody gotta tell you what you gotta do.
The Still Doctor is a title earned by one Chris Odhiambo as a result of his prowess as a blacksmith with a specialization in steel.
Still Doctor ni jina nilipewa kikazi kulingana na kazi nilikuwa nafanya. So mafundi wenzangu walianza tu kuniita daktari So mimi pia nikaona nitumie jina ya steel doctor. Kitu ikikuja ngumu workshop, mimi nilikuwa napewa steel doctor ifanyie hii. Na hiyo ikikuwa ngumu aje nini nafanya.
His story is an inspiring one. From a high school dropout to an established entrepreneur and employer of more than 40 staff, he is writing a different story for himself.
After school, I dropped out kwa nikiwa form 3. Nikaenda Naivasha, kapata yule mwenye amekubali kunisaidia kwa relative kutoka nyumbani. Alinifundisha hii kazi. From there nikakaa na yeye 6 months. Nikapata anaweza tengeneza dirisha. Nikaenda Meru. From Meru nikakaa Meru for 5 years. Hapo 5 years nikiwa nimeajiriwa mahali moja. So hapo nilitoka na agent ya steel doctor, sasa nikaanza kujiajiri mimi mwenyewe. Ukishakuwa mtu umefanyia mtu sana na ukapata wewe mwenyewe unajiweza. Kwa kile yule mtu anafanya, unaona wewe mwenyewe unaweza fanya. So niliamua mimi mwenyewe ninunue mashini kangu moja. After kununua mashini moja, naye nika-advisiwa na watu, ukiwa umetoka mahali unafanya, unaenda distance kidogo ili uache yule boss wako nafasi because wengi wanakujua. So niliamua kutoka Meru nikakuja hapa Ruiru. So far niko na watu 43. 15 ni wale ninawafundisha kazi. Alafu the balance ni wale wenye mafundi aswa.
We paid him a visit at his workshop and got to have a feel and gain an understanding of the steel business in the manufacturing sector. With his accomplishments in the industry, there are still a few things he is not pleased with. The fact that it is very hard for an entrepreneur like him to get government tenders to supply his merchandise.
My future is I just talk to government. Like mimi niko na youth around 43. Wengine tunasota, tunakosa job. Hao vijana wanakaa kwa nyumba. Kila mtu simu, steel doctor, kuna kazi. Sasa inabidi tunakaa nao hapa. Na ukienda kutafuta pale tenda kwa government, it is hard. So government kama wanaweza kufikia. Pia sisi talent yetu. Watu wengine wanaenda kununua euro dolls from outside and we are making them here. The dolls tunatengeneza hapa sisi wenyewe. They should promote them. Yeah.
And secondly, he says some people still prefer importing products from abroad, yet the same products are made here in Kenya. He gives an example of the Euro dough. He refers to his as the Kenyan dough as it is made here in our land with the same quality standard.
In one of the doughs, naona ukienda pale Europe nasema ati kuna Euro dough. Sisi tunatengeneza Euro dough hapa. Na watu wanazinunua. Watu wana import kutoka nje na tunatengeneza hapa. Materials zangu mostly na buy Central Kenya. Naitwa Central Auto iko industrial. Sasa then pia wenye wako hapa within kama sina kazi kubwa niko na Neema hardware hapa nyuma. Sasa pale ndio nina at least huwezi kaa mahali unakosa kupromote watu wa area. Yeah, but nikitaka big bulk saa zile kazi kubwa imekuja naenda Central. I have to promote Kenya because they are promoting me.
Over the years, he has progressively grown thanks to open-mindedness, creativity, and quick adoption to technology to make his work easier and better.
It is a long journey. So I see because sahi niko na from Meru, sahi niko na 5 years hapa. Na hiyo 5 years kwanza nilifungua workshop ya kwanza ikaanguka. Hapa Ruiru tu. It was not easy. Kwa nimeweka mashini zangu. Natembea hapa kutoka Ruiru mpaka Thika nikitembea workshops, kutafuta kazi. Kazi pia haiko. From there nikaona this is hard. So nikafungua online page yangu ya Facebook. Nikaanza kupost kazi zangu huko. Na watu wakaanza kunipigia kazi. First time nikianza kazi nilikuwa natumia akso kukata chuma, the blade. So nikapata akso, it is hard with the field. So nikaingia kwa hii teknolojia ya grinder. Najifundisha unakanyaga chuma, najikatia ikiwa hapo kwa ground such that ukienda kwa site kufanya kazi hausumbuki mahali pa kukata chuma. Ni kitu watu wangu wote venye wako hapa nimewafunza wamejua. Ukienda field kuweka chuma chini na square na kata. From another thing yenye nimesema toka kwa ile welding ya zamani, this type of finishing. Kutoka kwa finishing tuliintroduce kenye inaitwa powder coating. So powder coating we call it first class. First class, this is it. Shatengeneza hii hivi, unapeleka kwa oven, inapikwa, inatoka na final coat. Then we have a spray. Spray ndio zile za rangi zinatumika kwa magari. Tukishatengeneza dirisha, tunaenda tunachukua rangi, tuna spray.
Kila wakati maisha ni muhimu. So kama maisha ni muhimu, lazima uweze kujikinga. Hii bila tu nimekuonyesha hii powder is such kind of very small particles za powder. Na mara mingi sana zinaenda na hewa. So zikienda na hewa, ukiweza kufanya kazi hapa ndani bila kuprotect your nose ama your breathing system, utaweza kuinhale hiyo hewa. Na hiyo hewa obvious lazima the particles lazima ziwe ziko na effect. So ndio maana tumekuadvise ukinunua machine, mwenye ana operate machine lazima iwe na hiyo nose mask.
Washington Onyango, a neighbor to the still doctor, owns a cutting-edge technology in his workshop called the CNC laser machine that helps with the fabrication process. This is mostly for the aesthetic value of the product, creating different designs pleasing to the eyes. This is the process that takes place.
Ile kazi tunafanya ni ya kutengeneza all kitu yote ambayo ina deal na chuma. Iwe dirisha, iwe mlango, gate, grills, roof, kitu yote ambayo ina deal na steel work. Tunafanya kazi ya laser fiber cutting machine, ambayo hii machine tunatumia kukata kudecorate balcon grill, staircase grill, and maybe pangola. Tunatumia decoration of a black sheet. Ile mabati tunatumia kuweka kwa staircase. Process ya kwanza ni mambo ya art. Hiyo kitu inachorwa kwa laptop, inatolewa kwa laptop, inaloadiwa kwa USB, inatoka from USB. Kuna code una generate ile code itaweza kuelewana na software ya machine, ndio machine iweze kurun. So unatoa from laptop to USB to computer ya machine. Then after hapo, once usha feed because the machine is computerized, ukisha feed kwa computer itaweza kuoperate tu yenyewe.
Unahitaji skills za engineering kidogo, unafaa kuwa unajua kuchora na CAD software. Ukishajua kuchora, hiyo ndio kazi kubwa. Process ya kwanza ni kuchora kwa machine. Ukishapata design, unaingia kwa laptop, unachora. After hapo unakuja una generate G-code, alafu unaileta inafeediwa kwa machine. Kuna software za kugenerate G-code kwa laptop. Inaitwa Sheetcam. Ni kadhaa. Sheetcam ni moja yake. Kisha generate, unaleta hiyo kazi kwa flash disk hapa kwa machine. After hapo unakuja una load hapa. Hapo unaweza rotate, unaweza fanya editing zako vizuri zenye zinahitajika. Just a simple computer. Ile kitu muhimu ni software tu iko ndani. Inatumika ku connect drawing na ile kichwa. Kutoka hapo unaendesha machine. Unaendesha hapa ama utumie remote yake.
The powder coating is another important aspect in making classy doors, and they are the main reason Chris sees the need of having a workshop, because otherwise house calls are quite convenient and to some extent more profitable.
Hapa workshop ina base, mtu akitaka nimfanyie powder coating afanye hapa, but nikitwa nje ninaenda nafanya, na hiyo ndio ninapenda kabisa, siwezi wacha. Like sasa tuseme hii ni one of mheshimiwa, siwezi mtaja, though tunataka ile kitu mheshimiwa akiona ama ule mtu mwenye anapenda kitu mzuri inavutia. This gate hii ni chuma tu kawaida hapa Kenya, ni chuma ya kawaida, penye unaweza tengeneza hii gate ya kawaida ukiwa umekata chuma unaunganisha. The same thing we are doing here. But ni wewe tu mwenyewe unataka kurembesha, then ufanye kitu yenye inavutia.
This is how it is in the steel business, and Chris has a bigger vision for the future.
It needs a lot of trust. Because you've just met with someone on Facebook. Akujui, ako US, mwingine ako Germany, ameona kazi yako kwa picha. When you explainia huyu mtu kazi ili upate pesa, it is not easy. Venye mnaona nimefanya hii gate hapa. Nilikuwa nikishafanya gate, napiga picha, nikishapiga picha, na post kwa Facebook. Then I joined groups kwa Facebook, Builders Kenya, From Beautiful. Sasa kazi yangu nikifanya naeka pale kwa groups. And ina advert, buy material, we work at your doorstep. Because sikukuwa na pesa, hata sahi sina. But nilikuwa naona kifanya kazi, kiambia mtu buy material, we work at your doorstep. Unatembea watu wanakuita unawafanyia kazi nzuri. It make work easier. Because someone is in Migori na anataka service yako na anakuambia uko mbali. So naona tu kwangu ni rahisi, because nitaenda pale nimwandikie chuma kulingana na zile design amechagua, alafu namfanyia kiti yake hapo na ninaenda zangu.
His message to the young people is a simple one.
Siwezi ambia vijana it is not easy sana. You have to try unless paka ufike mahali still doctor sasa mfika. Na bado pia nataka nifike mbele kuliko hapo.
That is the still doctor. From a humble beginning that didn't define him to an industrious present, setting him up for a predictably strong, prosperous, and impactful future.
St. Mary's Msongari grounds, an interment process is underway. When a Catholic priest dies, the first step involves informing the bishop of the diocese in which the priest served.
Familia ya huyu padri pia watapewa taarifa ya kifo cha huyo padri kupitia kwa askofu wa jimbo au mkuu wa shirika.
The funeral mass is held in the church where the priest served, and it is strictly led by the bishop or a representative of the bishop.
Juu ya jeneza kunawekwa kikombe ambacho walikuwa wanatumia, na pia kunawekwa paten. Vyombo hivi vinatumika kupatia yule padri heshima na kuashiria kazi ambazo alikuwa anafanya alipokuwa hai.
For the burial, the priest is typically dressed in their priestly vestments, including a black cassock, the long flowing garment worn by clergy, a white alb, the sleeveless white outer garment, a black stole, the long narrow band of fabric worn around the neck, a cincture, usually made of cord or rope, and is worn as a belt, and a white chasuble, the outermost sacrament garment of priest and bishop, often quite decorated.
Ishara ya kumvalisha padri mavazi yake rasmi alikuwa anatumia ni katika ile kuheshimu na kushiriki katika ile kazi ambayo aliyofanya, na pia ishara kwamba yeye ni kuhani mkuu milele katika utaratibu wa Melkizedeki. Ndio maana anapozikwa anazikwa na mavazi haya kuashiria kwamba ukuhani wake ulikuwa wa milele.
The priest's body is positioned differently during Mass. For a lay person, once the pall is laid over the body, the casket is turned so that their feet are towards the altar and their head by the doors. Priests and deacons are turned opposite so that if the casket were to stand on its end, their body would face the people.
Na tukitazama jinsi ambavyo Wakristo hukaa kanisani, wanatazama altari, naye padri anawatazama Wakristo. Hivyo basi huwa anapaswa kusimama jinsi ambavyo alikuwa anasimama anapofanya kazi ya Mungu katika kutolea sadaka.
Unlike lay persons, whose remains are normally interred at a private home, a Catholic priest is only buried at a clergy cemetery.
Na ishara ya kuweza kumzika padri katika makaburi yaliyotengwa kwa pekee ni kuendeleza ile ishara kwamba alijitolea kikamilifu kwa mtumishi wa Mungu. Kuweza kuhifadhi mwili huu katika makaburi yaliyotengwa ni nafasi ya kipekee ya kuruhusu wale ambao wanatembelea makaburi haya kuweza kuwatolea sala.
Wanakuja wakiomba rozale, wanazunguka kwa hizi njia, hizi nafasi zenye waliwaachia.
The sisters are not ready to rest here. It has been confined more for the diocesan clergy.
The presiding bishop blesses the graveside with anointed water and then waves incense over the casket 3 times to represent prayers being offered to God on behalf of the departed priest.
Rangi ya zambarau ndio inatumika sana katika mavazi. Inaashiria pia amani na utulivu.
The congregation says prayers, and as the casket is lowered into the grave, the priest recite the line, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Jackie Wambiru, My Culture.
It is the high season in the tourism calendar, and the arrival of thousands of flamingos from Tanzania's Lake Natron to Kenya's Lake Bogoria is undoubtedly a plus to both tourists and stakeholders who live off tourism in the region.
We are very happy to tell the entire world that the flamingos are back in millions, as you've seen for yourselves. And this has improved the bookings as compared to the last 3 years. We've seen bookings going up to 95% for this summer season.
Flamingo colonies might breed at different times of the year, and for the flamingos of Kenya, the breeding frequently takes place in Tanzania's Lake Natron before they migrate back to the country, with the young ones in search of food, in this case the algae. The algae's concentration is habitually high in Kenya's Lake Bogoria, enough for the thousands of flamingos and the chicklets. There are 2 species of flamingos, the lesser and greater flamingos. The lesser flamingos, which are the most common species at Lake Bogoria, are known for their vibrant pink color, which comes from the pigments in the algae they consume. The greater flamingos are heavier and taller than the lesser flamingos. However, the greater flamingos constitute the highest percentage of the global flamingo population. The baby flamingos are usually white in color till they get to 3 months, when their feathers turn to pink. These social birds will be in Kenya between July to November or early December before they return to Tanzania. They live in large colonies to avoid predators and efficiently use the scarce suitable nesting sites. For a section of mature lesser and greater flamingos will, within their stay in Baringo, prepare nests for future young birds, as the rest take care of the current chicklets. During certain times of the year, Lake Bogoria National Park would host up to 2 million flamingos.
They come in flock. It's like the wild beasts of Mara. It's only that people have not paid attention. This actually is a migratory route for birds from Europe to South Africa. They take refuge in around Chemosusu and before they go to South Africa. So it's a spectacular place to be.
This is a great county of diversity. When we talk about tourism, we've got it's an amazing place to be, especially if you are traveling, if you love traveling and moving around.
The park also plays host to gazers, where tourists can hard-boil eggs. Besides this, there are wild animals, mostly herbivores, which add to the beauty of the park.
So if you are coming to Baringo, there are Three important things you should not miss. One, start with the equator line in Mogotio. Go to Lake Bogoria, which is an alkaline lake. And then you go to a fresh lake in Baringo County, in Lake Baringo. So you have an opportunity to visit a fresh lake and an alkaline lake. One in the same place. That's Baringo.
The government is using all the agencies to have marketing strategies to stabilize the COVID-19 programs. The revenue is now trying to increase from because we actually almost like getting less than even 5 million revenue collection by year, but now we are trying to come up to improve on the same.
Irene Chuma Odim, Magical Scenes in Baringo.
Rising up to 53 metres tall, they were the largest standing Buddha statues in the world. Testament to Buddhism in the Bamiyan Valley, the heart of Afghanistan. The sculptures survived for 1,500 years, in spite of Islam and its ban on icons. Then came the Taliban. Amidst international protests, the figures were blown up, erasing a part of Afghanistan's rich history. That was more than 20 years ago. Now that the Taliban is back in power, no one knows what will happen to what remains of the Buddhas of Bamiyan. The trauma lingers. Mansour Alami was a child when the Buddhas were blown up. As his family in Afghanistan didn't have a television, he only saw the destruction later, but he knew the Buddha statues well.
My father told me it is something that has connection with religion. It is our culture, our history, our identity. It's part of our identity, and we should keep it, and we should save it for future generations.
Some want to preserve culture, others want to destroy it. But why? Is this about ideology, religion, or the power to erase and rewrite history? What do Islamists like the Taliban or the terrorist Islamic State group want? Why were members of IS turning the destruction of the ancient multicultural city of Palmyra into a media production that infidels can watch on television? Is it religious fanaticism or clever PR?
It's definitely more about religious fanaticism than anything else. And it is, quite clearly, about taking up space and marking territory. And if there's money to be made from that, even better, because then you can use it to buy weapons.
The black market of antiquities is flourishing. Cultural property is valued worldwide, and it's protected. But why? What do cultural treasures, both our own and those of other countries, mean to us?
If it's worth something to someone, then it's worth protecting.
Because it says a lot about our history. It gives us strength and can be an inspiration.
A record of past cultures is also a good reminder that our own may also perish someday.
We travel 3,350 years back in time to an ancient culture. Revolutionary pharaoh Akhenaten elevated the sun god Aten to the centre of worship, thus upsetting the ancient Egyptian pantheon of gods. Aten, represented by the disk of the sun, protected the divine family. The pharaoh, his wife Nefertiti, and their daughters. Here, they all look rather strange. Akhenaten also revolutionised the art of portraiture. The distinctive elongated heads are not owed to any illness, as was previously thought, but reflect the new Amarna style. Akhenaten broke radically with the past. He suppressed old cults, abolished the priesthood of Amun, and made plenty of enemies as a result. When the pharaoh died after a 20-year reign, his portraits were no longer wanted, and many were destroyed.
People did not believe in what this man had initiated, so they actively wanted to oppose it. Successors deliberately destroyed any images and reliefs of Pharaoh Akhenaten.
Und auch Reliefdarstellungen des Pharao Echnaton zerstört.
They were probably only given the order to destroy any visible traces of this pharaoh after leaving the capital, Tel El Amarna.
Mit Bewusstheit den Befehl erteilt, zerstört, was immer ihr von diesem Pharao seht. Damit
That way he would disappear from the historiography of Egyptians once and for all.
The only female pharaoh did not fare any better. Although Hatshepsut was often portrayed with a ceremonial beard like her male peers, a woman pharaoh was too much to handle for her contemporaries. They erased her image. This scandalous woman was not to be remembered. Hatshepsut's teacher was also posthumously disgraced, guilty by association. His inscription was partially scratched off.
After Tuchel's perfect debut, things got pretty rocky.
It was a very, very good match over 60, 65 minutes. Goal comes from out of absolutely nothing. This can happen, but we were not able to show a reaction. The problems are obvious on the pitch. We don't look fresh. We don't look excited. We don't look like with energy to come back if things do not go our way. Yeah, if you lose, you can, of course, lose top of the table.
The visitors know that they're potentially just 5 wins away from the title. Adeyemi goes down. Danilo Suarez definitely makes contact with Adeyemi, but the referee says that's not enough for a spot kick.
I don't like to do it because it's not my responsibility. By the end of the season, to have so many crucial decisions against you.
It is another twist in this extraordinary title race. Borussia Dortmund drop points, and if Bayern München win on Sunday against Hertha Berlin, they will return to the top of the table.
Bayern back in first with 4 match days to go. And on the penultimate match day, they took on Leipzig.
Bundesliga title race. Christopher Nkunku emphatically dispatched. Szoboszlai 3-1. Bayern no longer have control of the board. It's not in their hands anymore. Dortmund 2 wins away from the Meisterschale.
The pressure's on them now. The title's not lost, I'm sure of it.
So how did Dortmund react?
We created a lot of chances, we played quite good, but we didn't score.
Borussia Dortmund!
Do you think these were the most important goals you scored?
One of the most, I think, yes.
That should mean that Bochum away from the Meisterschale on match day 34.
Ich glaube, wir haben es uns verdient.